My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state.
Alrighty, this is the Ontario Police repeatedly flying over the top of my head again, doing so at what is 11:59 p.m. These are demons that are engaging in very foolish criminal activity and they're scared to death. This is a combination of that. Impunity, malice, and mental illness combined with what is corrupt law enforcement is the formula that threatens American society. These are murderers and kidnappers, and they're also violent sex offenders. That's why they're at ARCO, where they're very fearful, because I'm going to go publish this video while they're engaged in terrorism, and it's putting Mike LORENZ in prison, because that's what the conviction for terrorism in the U.S. for gang stalkers that are calling themselves police chiefs, they're going to prison. That's what is relevant. And it's also light activity, criminal facilitation with the population of demons who are stalking with impossible light, while they're engaged in federal stalking with that demon that goes to ARCO, where I routinely use the Wi-Fi, and that agency is stalking me by helicopter, going over there while they're communicating a threat. I'm gonna go put it on the internet, and I'm gonna put this threat on the internet, the threat that they just engaged in flying over my head repeatedly. That's criminal summoning. Remember when they're circling around a building? And because they claim that they're looking for somebody and they're engaged in investigation, that's what terrorists believe is going to govern. Terrorists are going to prison. Okay, this is P.O.C. It is currently 12 a.m. and this is the entity that's gang stalking. Let me show you how you know. This is one shadow here. Here's another shadow here. Here's another shadow here. That's called relevant positioning, light activity. And that's a demon at Starbucks, stalking with what is light activity in the path. That's what St. Nick's was doing. The demon is flying in helicopter. I took pictures before I captured video. So this demon is engaged in what is stalking, bucket and crawfish, 602A, North Euclid Avenue. The entity is flying, stalking, staying at a distance over there, still stalking. And you're not going to engage in conspicuous stalking, even in a helicopter right in front of my face. I take pictures of it. Minutes later, you're still over here circling around, stalking. The moment that I start recording video, that's when that demon comes over and flies over the top of my head. Then you're looking at the demon have a public crash out. Okay, then he starts flying in circles all around, turning on the spotlight. Do you know what that spotlight is? It's light activity, and they're doing it under the fake moon. Okay, the fake moon that's over me, not over anybody else. And it's also in the specific environment, and the entity is gang stalking at ARCO, which you already know. The Ontario Police Department are full of terrorists, and the world is witnessing the prosecution and the exposure of the Nephilim, who are engaged in surveillance in the United States. This is P.O.C. Those demons are going to prison. So is the demon that's in the helicopter. And this is the pattern of conduct practiced by the Ontario Police Department that are being disbanded. And it's the prosecution for terrorism of terrorist leaders, not a police chief. And that proper identification is going to be proven in a federal criminal case. Conspiring my murder is what the Ontario Police Department has been engaged in, and this is the prosecution of that. This is P.O.C. This is under all circumstances the same documentation of stalking that this agency has been engaged in for years. Repeatedly kidnapping while having no probable cause warrant, and I have committed no criminal acts, while they also defame my character. They're going to prison as the psychopaths that they are. P.O.C.
Alrighty, it is currently Tuesday, November 4th, 2024. This is P.O.C. reporting to you live regarding the ongoing federal prosecution of Mike LORENZ and Derek Williams, co-conspirators of murder, acting in concert with the state of California and the United States government's criminal pattern of conduct, which the corrupt terrorist organization, masquerading as a police department, a law enforcement agency. It is no law enforcement agency. They are engaged in the satanic and criminal pattern of conduct of surveillance, and they're doing so while they are practicing this targeting system with the people of the state. That's the legal reference regarding criminal monitoring that is operated by the Nephilim. That's all of this is simultaneously being exposed, and this is relevant to the video that I just captured regarding stalking again on yet another day, where the entity is keeping a fake sun in alignment to me, where the demons are engaged in what is heavily documented psychological torture tactics upon a repeated pattern of kidnapping, making false assertions, maliciously underway, engaging what is kidnapping me, stealing my property, damaging my property, unlawfully searching me upon lying about why they are in my presence, lying about what they're stating happened when it didn't happen as I document. These are the demons engaging in that pattern of conduct, and they're engaging in that while they fly over the top of my head, stalking by helicopter, and then engaging in criminal summoning with the very people of the state. This is P.O.C. This is why the demons that are kidnapping at the OVITT Family Community Library, by the way, that's why they're going to federal prison. All right, so I'm going to document these license plates. These demons are going to prison. There's a female here. Gang stalking with the people of the state. These are the ones stalking under the fake sun. These are the ones stalking with impossible light. These are the ones stalking with the government using commercial planes, stalking while I'm coming in and out of the OVITT Family Community Library. These are the demons that are dressed up as police officers, and these are the demons that don't want you to recognize and know what they're doing and what they are. This is the Nephilim. Ontario Police, license 1680793, vehicle 1110, stalking with the people of the state. They're engaged in surveillance on the roads and the highways. Police lights in the same specific environment, license 1680790, vehicle 1116. The people of the state, license 9MPW
162. This is what A. Casada, by the way, is doing under the fake sun at the OVITT Family Community Library at 12:14 in the afternoon. This is what they are doing with the Ontario Fire Department, that fake sun that's still present at that same entrance at 4 o'clock in the evening, like I documented, where they're standing around gang stalking me, monitoring my vagina in the bathroom, maintaining light activity while a fake sun hovers over me from the end of the day. And these are the same demons, the Nephilim, who engage in kidnapping, stating that someone told them that I was yelling in the bathroom. Documented, that's a lie. Someone told them that I was harassing them. That's a documented lie. Someone told them that I was molesting children. This is a documented lie. While they're engaged in, just like what I captured on video, ongoing stalking using helicopters, they're exhibiting severe mental illness, while the malice is exhibited by the Nephilim, who are wearing Ontario Police Department uniforms. They're gang stalking while they're wearing guns. They're gang stalking with the people of the state that are stalking, engaging in surveillance on a ceaseless basis. The demons are together engaging in what is monitoring me while they are operating and using the government resources, which is what the removal of Polyon. Okay, so this is public corruption. The same pattern of conduct of stalking in helicopters is underway. Again, license plate 1680793, vehicle 1110, and license plate 1680790, vehicle 1116. Both of these are a female and a male. They're both going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. I'm capturing images. This is gang violence and its facilitation of that. These are the psychopaths that are engaged in stalking with light together. They're engaging in this P.O.C., and I want you to pay attention to the light activity where they're engaging in what is wanting to appear on the surface as they're handling something that should be important, and they're actually engaged in what is criminal monitoring. This is the pattern of conduct. These are demons that are engaged in gang stalking together. The gang stalkers, the worst gang members in the world, they're worse than the Bloods and the Crips. They commit murder in plain sight. They engage in what is targeting American citizens while wearing police uniforms. They're engaged in criminal activity while they're wearing police uniforms, and they facilitate criminal activity. You're going to look at her shadow while she's pacing. This is an iteration of pacing. This is a psychopath that's stalking with her back to me, wearing a police uniform as though she's ignorant of my presence, and she is here to stalk me in particular. This is very heavily documented at ARCO, very heavily documented at this location where the fake sun is documented rising and setting, where the Ontario International Airport is routinely engaging in surveillance, and this demon is moving her body with regard to creating light activity. Okay, she's standing in what is engineered light. You see her shadow extending? This is a demon, and she's also a sex offender, keeping my vagina under surveillance in concert with the people of the state, with whom she is requiring in order to be in their presence, because this is the entity that's gang stalking through corrupt police departments that are engaged in what is criminal summoning. Light activity, relevant positioning, stalking in the path, and furtherance of murder. License 9 MPW 162, they're also subject to federal prison. They're gang stalking together. Okay, the people of the state and the entity that acts directly, they're going to federal prison. So let me show you what she's standing in. One shadow, two shadow, here's three shadows, here's another shadow reaching into the street. They're demons. And the demon is stalking in helicopter, okay? Remember, while I'm at that end, at F Street, these demons are engaged in what is the pattern of conduct, stalking by helicopters. These demons pull up really quick. Why? This is where I use the Wi-Fi on a daily basis, where the same agency is stalking on a nightly basis. This is a psychopath keeping her back to me, and she's listening to everything that I say. She's a monitoring demon who is monitoring my physical movements and is listening and is focused on me, not the demons that she's talking to. That's the reality of what's going on. 1, 2, 3, all of them federal prison. This is how you're going to prosecute terrorists. It is currently, by the way, 12:09 a.m. This is going on the internet with regard to gang violence, and this is the removal of Polyon. Polyon is being removed. The entity is engaged in the same pattern of conduct. You see this? The same exact pattern of conduct. It's not different, and there's nothing lawful about this. They are engaged in light activity. They're requiring the demons that are stalking with light while they're driving their vehicles, and impossible light is shooting off of their cars, while they're stalking me under a fake sun that rises and sets right here, while this police department stalks me by helicopter day and night, in helicopter, while they're gang stalking at the gas stalls, engaged in federal stalking with their communication devices. These are the demons engaging in that same exact pattern of conduct, stalking with the police. They're engaging in that P.O.C. as one. That is, again, license plate right here, 16979A1. This is public corruption. This is no different than the pattern of conduct that's happening under the fake sun. I want to be clear. The demons with the white vehicle, they're going to prison, and so are these demons wearing these police uniforms. That's light activity. All right, that's the P.O.C. This is pursuant to surveillance. They're not searching for anything, and they're gang stalking together. They're gang stalking together. The entities engaged in this, and this is exhibiting severe mental illness. It's psychopathic, and it's delusional. It's delusional. This is the agency that's being disbanded. This is P.O.C. The entity pulls up here because I'm about to upload all these videos, and this is a means of being in the path. It's also the communication of a threat while they're monitoring with these demons. Monitoring. That's the pattern of conduct. They're engaging in the P.O.C. Remember, the fake sun is even over the Ontario Police Department. They're a bunch of demons and they're unfit for law enforcement. And this is not law enforcement. They're unfit to wear uniforms where they're masquerading as law enforcement. And the entity's engaged in what is that pattern of conduct, which is documented. It's currently 12:11 a.m. Criminal summoning is the basis of federal prison. They're doing so in this specific environment, and they are enabling. They're enabling the people of the state who are criminals. It's their fault that the people of the state are gang stalking. And this isn't the conspiracy to commit murder for them gang stalking. Stalking by helicopter, stalking using police vehicles, the mayor is being removed unseated, and the gang stalker himself, Mike LORENZ, is being prosecuted as well. I want to be clear, gang stalking mayors are also subject to a federal prosecution. This is the criminal expenditure of resources when they're engaging in the P.O.C. All right, this is exposing what is rampant public corruption and mental illness, that these demons that are in police uniforms, they have the same exact mental illness. Psychopathic pacing, psychopathic behavior stalking with light. They're doing so as demons that are stalking on the roads and the highways. What's the difference? That demon's in a red vehicle. These demons are in what is called police vehicles, but they're not the police. Okay, they don't have any authority. This is surveillance. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, I just want to capture that. Here's one shadow. Here's another shadow. And there's another one reaching into the street over here. They're monitoring, and they're monitoring with the entity that's creating a method of light activity. This is what Budget is doing using a commercial vehicle. They're doing it using police vehicles in the engineered environment. The engineered environment is where you see the fake sun over me, where that same pattern of conduct is underway. The entity engages in kidnapping with the people of the state. That's what OVITT Family Community Library is engaged in while they're monitoring. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, I want to make sure that you're recognizing that this is the pattern of conduct underway by the same people of the state I'm capturing on a daily basis. The demons just are coming and directly engaging in that. While it's being documented, this is federal prison under all circumstances. Alrighty, it is currently 12:12 a.m. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, this is Chevron that's engaged in the pattern of conduct, the federal RICO case, the making money while they're gang stalking. And so is ARCO. ARCO is going to be prosecuted. ARCO is always targeting me while gang stalking, and while the entity uses the property, engaged in the P.O.C., that venue is going to be prosecuted as well. This is a massive facilitation. They're all monitoring while the entity is engaged in the same exact psychopathic pacing, stalking, in a helicopter. It does not change. This is the entity that's mentally ill, and the mentally ill are going to asylums. This is certifiable conduct. It is corrupt and criminal, but it's mentally demented behavior. They're stalking with engineered light, creating light activity in that environment. They're engaged in surveillance, and they want to be taken seriously as a police department. They also have a pattern of criminally defaming the one whom they are overtly documented as targeting for years in furtherance of murder and stealing money and property that's going to be in federal court. Why they are targeting above what is being a demon. Criminally defaming because Tracy Banks has a secret conservatorship. Engaged in criminal summoning. This is what Tracy Banks was engaged in, while she's stating that there was a physical altercation. While they're engaged in surveillance, the Ontario police knew very well there was no altercation. They know everything happening. This is malice, while they're engaging in exhibiting mental illness as demons who are monitoring. This is P.O.C. It is currently 12:13 a.m. Alrighty, I am capturing video, as you can hear. The demons are monitoring at Gloria's Cochinas. That's St. Nick's that's still engaged in what is light activity creation. They're monitoring with the Ontario Police Department. They're doing so by helicopter. And they're doing so using what are the vehicles as a means of light activity. That's what you're listening to. And the entity is doing so. What's the actual focus? Everything that I'm about to publish on the internet. While demons are very much cowards, okay? These demons have a false sense of what is bravado, however, because they took faith in what are sex rituals. They put their faith in what are numerosity, meaning a whole bunch of demons attacking me at one time. They put their faith in what is their identity, their badge, their positions, and they put their faith in the wrong thing, because not only are they going to be exposed as the Nephilim, because that's what this is demonic activity. They're going to federal prison because gang stalking police, they are the highest threat to American citizens, where they're engaged in what is kidnapping you. They're engaged in what is bearing false witness against you in order to accomplish kidnapping you, defaming your character, and doing so, and also murdering you. While they claim they did so with regard to the execution of a duty of an officer, when they're engaged in surveillance in the first place, they don't even have authority under the Constitution, and they're stalking you under all circumstances. They don't even have authority to be in your presence while they are stalking you without any warrant or probable cause, everywhere at all times, because the entity is monitoring under things like a fake sun and a fake moon. Okay, this is the entity whose mental illness is put at the outset, by the way, put at the forefront of the controversy regarding a prosecution for terrorism. Because the entity is engaged in what is criminally defaming the target individual, for which there is no evidence and no support. There's also no history. The entity engaged in, that's also why they're going to prison, because the evidence also shows, the case also shows, and it will be demonstrated in a court, because it's already been demonstrated here, where you've seen the body of evidence. The entity is engaged in what is making up information about mental illness while they are, under all circumstances, stalking under a fake sun, stalking while wearing police uniforms, and doing so under the guise that you were never going to listen, and that you were going to look at direct evidence of stalking as something else, and that everybody that's looking at the same thing is all mentally ill. All of you, in other words, who are looking at the entity targeting are mentally ill in the same way. That's what the entity's false logic necessarily concludes as, while they are clearly targeting in the same exact manner, even right now, and doing so under the guise of what is criminal summoning. They're stalking on a daily basis under things like a fake sun. This demon that pulls out a flashlight, you know what that is? That's called light activity. All right, it is the same exact P.O.C. and this is an entity that's gang stalking, and they're doing so pursuant to what are relying upon the demons that are gang stalking on a daily basis. They're gang stalking every day on behalf of the government. The government is getting engaged in criminal summoning with the people of the state, and yet you want to be taken seriously. The people of the state are already shown to be vagina monitoring demons, and so are the Ontario Police Department. They're nothing other than the Nephilim. They're cockroaches that are wearing uniforms every day. Every day it's Halloween for the demon possessed in the city of Ontario. They're gang stalking demons that are masquerading as a police department. And the pattern of conduct is going to be serving to prosecute a domestic terrorist leader, not a police chief. Okay, fully engaging that and complicit to that pattern of conduct. It is currently, by the way, 12:17 a.m. This is the P.O.C. and I want to document. This is impossible light activity over here. This is impossible light activity while you're looking at the demon that's over here focusing on a vehicle while he's actually stalking with light. This is impossible light that's manifesting behind him. It's not the reflection of any light that's going to have anything to do with while he's aiming a flashlight in an opposite direction. This is a psychopath who is monitoring. Okay, you also know that because of the ongoing stalking with helicopter that's captured on a daily basis. You know that because my shadow is appearing at a distance in front of me. My shadow is appearing over here on the sidewalk. My shadow is right here in front of me as well. While a demon is in operation of a flashlight, which is a method of light activity, appearing at a heightened elevation. I've got 3 shadows, and that has nothing to do with what would be light activity. This is an entity that's engaged in what is light activity while he is engaged in what is the operation of what is a flashlight. This light activity is a means of monitoring. They're creating light activity in the environment. Let me back up, because this is how you're recognizing monitoring. This is how you're going to identify the crime scene where the demon possessed are engaged in that, and it includes like this, the multiple shadows as I move my hand. But this white light right here, this is the entity that's monitoring while he is facing the vehicle, appearing to be focused on something else, and it's light activity creation. I even want to be clear, while any of the lights are supposed to be reflecting off of the mirror and it's repairing all the way over here, that's impossible light activity. These are the demons that drive under the fake sun and are molesting my body with impossible light. These are demons. They are demons, and this is gang violence, and they're going to federal prison. And the more that she talks, wearing that uniform, wanting to engages in what is a search of a vehicle while they're gang stalking together, they're going to be mentally assessed. This is certifiable conduct. Certifiable. Those are the demons stalking with the possible light. That's exactly what this is. Okay? The light is not going to reflect off of the mirror of the vehicle, whatever super iteration. Well, maybe it's... No, that's not going to create that light up here above. This is impossible light activity. They're demons and they're monitoring. Mike LORENZ is going to be prosecuted. He's a terrorist leader engaged in what is a pattern of conduct, and is very much aware of the documented evidence for years of the entity engaging in the highest form of a threat. Stalking in a helicopter is the handiwork of psychopaths that also stalk you with light while they're demons who are monitoring you. And while you're wearing a uniform, that is the mentally ill psychopath that doesn't want you to know that they're preying upon you. All right? And that they're also seeking to sacrifice you. That's the P.O.C. Though I read those license plates. This is federal prison. You're going to federal prison. I'm documenting them gang stalking under the fake sun. You need to understand the people of the state are gang stalking with them. All 4 are is relevant to federal prison. It's a whole crime scene while they are engaged in targeting the American citizen. And they presuppose that this scene is supposed to make you appear as though you're mentally ill. This is the entity that's engaged in psychological torture tactics as you're breaking down the tactics of that entity that's targeting another, and doing so with regard to what's supposed to be triggering. This is not triggering. This is the evidence of targeting. This is the entity that's utilizing psychological torture while you are under all circumstances stalking amongst what is impossible light, exhibiting severe mental illness. However, this is the evidence that you're going to use to put them in mental asylums and put them in prison. Okay? That's the P.O.C. The entity is engaged in this P.O.C. under a fake sun. A fake sun that rises and sets right here at the ARCO where they're gang stalking as well. and you have inexplicable light appearing across the street over there, the entity that's pointing out the pattern of conduct is under no circumstances exhibiting mental illness, and this is a failed, outdated tactic. Everybody over here is going to federal prison, all 4 of them, and they're all demons. All of them are demons, including the demon that's engaging in what is stalking in helicopter. That's not bearing any reflection on the target individual. This is an entirely failed system. It requires corruption, and that's an absurdly psychopathic person right there wearing a uniform who's stalking somebody else. This is P.O.C. The proper focus is on the demons. That's the proper focus. An actual practice of medicine is requiring assessing what is in fact corrupt and what is here demonic. And that's speaking to suspicious regarding everything. And they're all surrounded with evidence. The OPD is surrounded with a body of evidence, and the people of the state are surrounded with a body of evidence. The entire city of Ontario, where the entity keeps a fake sun rising and setting, it's the P.O.C. It is a P.O.C. and nobody's imagining anything. They're imagining that they're going to do this in front of the world and that Mike Lorenz is avoiding federal prison. They're delusional. This is P.O.C. It is currently 12:21 a.m. That's the specific environment. Present at nightfall. All right? That has nothing to do with any sort of light. That spotlight's not reflecting, and then we're shooting over there. That's engineer light. Stalking with light. That's the P.O.C. While you're engaging in what is criminal summoning, that's what this is referred to as. It has nothing to do with the duties of an officer. They don't have any due process rights. You're going to be prosecuted as a terrorist, and you're going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. License 1680793. And I read these license plates already. They're on video. This is prison right here. This is committed in furtherance of murder while they psychologically torture people that don't have the evidence to prove the P.O.C. And while you're making what are allegations and nobody knows what you're talking about, for example, that's what they use to try to defame somebody. They're going to prison for this very system. They're all psychopaths, and they're going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 12:22 a.m. And pay attention to the video, because the entity engaged in what is this psychopathic pacing, they started flying in circles when I started recording video. That's what initiated this. And then these demons immediately pull up here, and there's an emergency, and it's relevant. This is why I upload on the Wi-Fi. All of this is pertaining to me. This is where an entity is engaging. That these are psychopaths, and they're delusional, and this system is imploding. You need to understand that this is the Nephilim, and they're highly unintelligent, and they have been surrounded with evidence that's going to have them diagnosed and have them convicted. That's P.O.C. It is currently 12:22 a.m. I want you to show. Here's one shadow here. Here's another shadow here. This is my shadow that's extending. I want you to see how far it's extending. Those are my legs over there. All right, this is magnification. That's not normal light activity. Neither is that, okay? That's engineered light relevant to monitoring. Monitoring is only conducted by demons, okay? That is not natural light activity. It's not naturally occurring, nor is the sun going to rise and set on one block, at one property, on one street, and that's where the entity is engaged in criminal summoning. They are, dang it, they're engaging in that P.O.C. I said dang it because my video just stopped recording right now, but I'm still capturing podcasts right now. My video stopped recording right now at 12:23 a.m. I'm going to upload all these videos right now. This is the P.O.C. What you're listening to me analyze is the tactics that the entity employs. They are still engaging in this same tactic. I want to be clear, because this is what you are paying attention to, federal judge. This is what you're paying attention to, medical professionals. This is what you're paying attention to. They are still employing this outdated tactic where they are targeting you. This is psychological torture. Psychopaths employ psychological torture with regard to this corrupt system to falsely depict the character. Let me be clear. There is nothing that's going to defame me. We are far too deep into a case, so all of a sudden, I put together this case, all this evidence that's consistent, makes perfectly logical sense when you are understanding what it is that is described, not saying that it's familiar to you, but it is making perfect logical sense. It is consistent with regard to the analysis. It is consistent with regard to identifying behavior that is creating what is a pattern as you're looking at it over and over again and different iterations of it. It is making perfect sense in this regard. However, the entities engaging in conduct as though one day, all of a sudden, in the face of all, this is how delusional they are. In the face of all that, you're just going to engage in freaking out, and all of a sudden, you're going to disregard all the evidence. Let's just forget about that angle. That's irrational. That's unreasonable. This is unintelligent. It's unrealistic. These are demons that are gang stalking, and that's behind the tactic of what was psychological torture right here, triggering conduct. Oh, I'm going to stalk you into hell. You're stalking. You are always stalking. The entity is presupposing you're going to use psychological torture, because that's what that's about, while they're engaging in what is innocent circling of helicopter. Okay, so this is supposed to be innocent circling of helicopter when you have years of evidence of targeting in that same manner using helicopter. But this is actually what's happening. You're triggering, with regard to the ordinary targeting, you're triggering by stalking in helicopter, you're targeting. And remember, you're looking at them on video. They followed me from the corner of F Street to Euclid Avenue. Oh, it's not supposed to look like targeting because the demons went to ARCO. Engaged in criminal summoning. So that's why they're engaged in what I'm documenting them doing on a daily basis, stalking me by helicopter. This are all of the false premises. They're very hollow and translucent efforts are very they're not advanced, they're not elite, they're not sophisticated, they're not logical, they're not intelligent either. Neither is it going to work in the face of what is a documented pattern. The federal judge, anybody, again, federal investigators, even the public, and the fifth graders that know about the sun. Everyone is on the same page regarding what they are doing right now, and I want to break down the psychological torture tactic behind this. Let me multitask. The entity is engaged in not only being present because I'm uploading onto the Wi-Fi at ARCO. The entity is engaging in they are years behind. I've got over 8,000 videos on YouTube right now. People, America, the world, all of you who are listening. I have over 8,000 videos on YouTube. I have since 2020, so that's over 5 years of podcast documentation, audio documentation. I have multiple law enforcement agencies stalking me in the specific environment. I don't mean just in a one-off. Oh, look, a helicopter's over there in the sky space. Oh, they're stalking me. No, that's not the pattern of conduct. When I'm on the 10 freeway in Downey, California, or whatever freeway is in Downey. When I'm in Downey, California, where obviously I haven't been in Downey, right? I've been on Euclid at OVIT, where the fake sun rises and sets. But when I go to Downey and the entity is engaged in what is understood as stalking, the fake sun's over my sunroof, over my car, on that freeway in that city that I haven't been in before, inconsistent with what would be the sun if it's remaining over downtown Ontario luxury apartments at the same time, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Wait. Sarah's Regis has the sun over my head at 2 o'clock in the afternoon in Ontario, California. But yet I'm capturing the video in its zenith over the top of my head on the freeway in Downey, California. And there's the entity flying adjacent to me, crossing my path by helicopter. That's stalking by helicopter. That's surveillance. Very conspicuous stalking. Conspicuous stalking is not vague and ambiguous, and it doesn't make anybody look like they're imagining anything. Everybody understands that crime scene. This is what the entity just employed right now. They engaged in what is utilizing criminal surveillance. Not only did they do that, criminal summoning. Not only did they do that with the people of the state who have no legitimacy. These are the light-slinging gargoyles. And so are the demons of the Ontario police. The vagina monitoring psychopaths stalking me, flying over my head everywhere in the city of Ontario. This is what they utilize right now. That's what they use, every single last one of them. The demons in the white Lexus, the demons in these 2 vehicles, federal prison. This is pursuant to the conspiracy to commit murder. That's what they're doing. They're doing so with impossible light, molesting and doing so. That's a homosexual predator, psychopath, molesting, vehicle 1110, license 1680793, sex offender, license 1680790, sex offender. That's a homosexual predator, just like a casada, stalking under the fake sun, monitoring my vagina, using criminal summoning while the fake sun sits over that OVITT Family Community Library. Where's the fake sun over the OVITT Family Community Library today? Daylight savings time or not? It's at 10 a.m. So outside of daylight savings time, that would be 9 a.m. So you're talking about what would be 11 a.m. outside of daylight savings time. The fake sun remains over. And what time was it where Dylan of the Ontario OVITT Family Community Library is gang stalking me as I walk outside of that venue? That's at 4 p.m. So let's count, because daylight savings time or no daylight savings time, there is no natural environment where the sun is going to be in Downey, California, over my sunroof in my car at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and also remaining over the OVITT Family Community Library for the duration of the day, like I've been documenting the sex offenders, the light-slinging gargoyles of the city of Ontario, regularly stalking using helicopters in concert with the light-slinging demons, the gargoyles who are the people of the state, engaging in surveillance on behalf of those demons who have failed in their widely publicized failed sacrifice unto Satan. They sacrificed themselves, okay? And clearly they lost their minds in doing so. The entities engaging in what is keeping the fake sun from what is 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, that would be 6 hours. If we're setting the clock back, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 6 hours, okay? We'll do the math, okay? Because all the fifth graders listening, you can follow as well. The entity has a fake sun that's sitting 6 hours outside of one entrance. That's where the homosexual predator, a casada, just like this homosexual predator molesting my body with that which is not headlights and no spotlight that's reflecting off of the rear view mirror onto the chevron wall over there, while you want to appear to be focused on one thing and I'm the focus. And everybody else that's watching this public investigation knows that. Everyone knows that. The entity engages in what's supposed to be triggering. That which is triggering pursuant to psychological torture is not the actual and legitimate practice of medicine serving to support what is defamation. That's not mental illness. Everybody already knows that. We already broke that down. This is why they engaged in criminal summon. Let me break down what they did. They're stalking by helicopter like they are on a routine basis. I'm capturing pictures of that. Let me give you that right now. You'll see it on the Google Drive. Let me give you the times because you can follow while I'm breaking this down. You can look at the Google Drive. I will be uploading this by the time I upload this podcast. It'll be uploaded. This is, it's currently November 4th, so this was at right before midnight on November 3rd. The entity is stalking. I'm taking multiple pictures. They're stalking. The moment that I start taking pictures, then the demon starts flying what would be south over the bucket crab and crawfish, over 602A North Euclid Avenue, over 536 North Euclid Bethel congregation. But before I take a picture, okay, they're just concerned about what they're doing. Oh, you don't want to look like you're just sitting there circling like they did on video, but they don't want to look like they're circling in the pictures that I take. So they start flying north and I'm taking pictures. It doesn't matter what direction you're flying in. The fake moon's over my head. You're stalking. You also have a documented pattern of targeting me while I have a body of evidence of this public nuisance. That is evidence of targeting. It's even more specific and precise and individualized because of the specific environment, however. Because this entity has engaged in so much stalking, targeting of myself, that's how I have both in their alternate universe where you're totally just oblivious and nobody's been listening, nobody's paying attention, and everybody thinks that I'm just speaking gibberish. That's only those demons. They're delusional because this is over. I want to be clear, there's already been a conclusion made. I'm going to win in a federal case against them as well in court. It's already over and they're still gang stalking. But nonetheless, they're the only ones in their mind clearly. That must be what you'd be lying to yourself about, because there is no way where you would think that that would be prudent to engage in, and that anybody is doubting that you're stalking like my evidence that's already all over the internet already proves. Okay, so not only am I getting my money and my property back that this entity, including those demons of the Ontario Police Department, stole and defamed me and doing it, in fact, gang stalked me in order to get away with it because they already did it. They're still gang stalking, and I've proven through this case, not only proven that the entity has been targeting me and defaming and kidnapping, but the fact that this is no system that should be served or used to assess. You do not assess mental illness like that. You're engaged in what is targeting, and it's not the practice of medicine to engage in what is proven to be psychological torture tactics and then use that to create an illusion of mental illness. And no actual medical professional, only the Nephilim are engaging in that. So this is what I'm capturing, okay? And there's context. That's why I'm talking about this homosexual predator, a casada, who's obsessed with my vagina. And so are her gang stalking buddies under the fake sun at 12 p.m. during what is daylight savings time. Okay, the fake sun at 14 p.m. The fake sun is still over that OVITT Family Community Library. I just documented Amazon Prime gang stalking me as I walk out at 4 p.m. Okay, that's speaking to the specific environment where you are stalking in conformity to a pattern of conduct, because I have multiple cities and more than one state keeping a fake sun over me while you're always stalking by definition in a helicopter. Helicopters everywhere that I'm going. You're stalking, you're following me from place to place. You're engaging in what is irritating and harassing me by flying over the top of my head. How does that have anything to do with assessing mental illness? You're just going to ignore the helicopter activity and then try to label someone crazy? Is that really what yes, that is exactly what they just did right now. Okay, so this is the entity that's engaging in the pattern of conduct. So yesterday at 11:40 p.m., that was less than an hour. It's 12:34 a.m. right now. So I'm capturing images. The entity starts flying. Once I start snapping pictures, then they move, okay? They're engaged in what is flying south. This is all stalking in helicopter at 11:40 p.m. I start capturing video because they're still sitting there engaged in what is targeting me as I capture video at what is Looks like 11:43. All right, 3 minutes later, the helicopter stops flying. As I start taking pictures, as I start snipping, all right, making it a Kodak moment, the helicopter is, oh no, we're not. This is I'm just giving commentary regarding narrating what the demons' very simple mind state is. They'll start moving, flying around as though they're not just sitting there stalking and watching me in a helicopter. Once I start taking pictures, then they start moving that helicopter when it's still stalking. Whether you're being stationary, being a very weird, creepy demon in a helicopter, just sitting there staring at me, stalking, or whether you're flying by me repeatedly, flying in the path, crossing path, whether I'm on the freeway in Downey and you're crossing path and the fake sun is, you're stalking under all circumstances. But the demons surmise in their mind, if they're flying in their emotion, then that's less stalkerish, okay? They're stalking, okay? But I will note the entity is engaged in what is movement. The one moment I begin taking pictures of them, you'll see this last night. It's still nighttime. That was only less than an hour ago, but it's November 4th, and this is going for the November 4th podcast. So at 11:40 p.m., I'm taking pictures, and you will see the entity that is stalking me and monitoring my evidence and has already failed in what's going to be before a court. No court is going to mistake this for anything other than the government stalking. And the government is stalking for a very bad reason. The government's conspiring to murder somebody that they are proven to be stalking. And they are engaging in stalking as I'm capturing at 11:30 p.m. I'm going to get to the punchline because I want to get these details. 11:40 p.m., I'm taking pictures. They start moving. Okay, so I wait a few minutes. Actually, I don't even wait. I forget about it. I just document. These demons are losers, okay? I took pictures of it. I'm getting ready to go to sleep, okay? So 11:40, I turn around. These demons are still over here stalking. They're still over here stalking behind me while I'm at the bus stop at F Street. So that's, again, 3 minutes later. So you were flying off, supposedly, when I started taking pictures. And the moment that I stopped snapping pictures, 3 minutes later, you're still over here behind me. You're still over here just stalking in the helicopter. So the moment that I take video, that's when you immediately see they fly over my head. Why would you engage in that? What? Does that not look on its face? Even outside of the years of evidence of targeting me, that's how you're getting, first of all, you're targeting me. There's a documentation of you targeting me. Nobody's imagining the fact, oh man, there she goes. She uploaded another video. They are stalking the mess out of Erica Spence. Everybody sees that, okay? And they also know what demons, by definition, okay? They know that these are demons. The evidence is already surrounding. Not only that, the entity, if you were just looking at this video and you're looking at them, and also look at the pictures. They're flying at 11:40. 3 minutes later, 3 minutes, if you were flying away, you would be gone. They were not gone. They were still there. I start capturing video. They immediately hone in on me and fly over my head. And then they commence to turning on the light. That's light activity while they begin psychopathic pacing, flying in a circle. These are, you're going to analyze the stalker's behavior. That's hostility. That's aggression. All right, that is intimidation. That's the entity that is stalking you while they're being more aggressive and flying over here. What are you about to do? Drop a bomb on me, Satan? What are you about to do? Start shooting at me now because I'm recording video? You can see how they immediately fly over my head in particular. They like to do that. These demons are going to prison for this. They're going to prison for this. But the entity engages in flying right over the top of my head. Even that on its face. The moment that I start recording and then you go from what is trying to hang back, stalk in the background because you're obsessed with me. Okay, you're hanging back, but you're still stalking. You are obsessed with me. You are stalking, and then the entity engages. The moment that I press record to capture video and not pictures, those demons come straight for and they fly over the top of my head. That's very much a threatening means of targeting, and I'm documenting them doing this hundreds of times. Okay. By the way, they're doing it while you know that they're targeting me specifically. Where's the fake moon? It's over the top of my head, just like it is right now at ARCO, where these demons engaged in criminal summoning. That is the fake moon followed from that intersection where the demons are stalking by helicopter. And this is their tactic. The entity engages in criminal summoning at the ARCO where they know that I'm going to go and upload all that evidence. And that's supposed to be also, I'll even concede, the cause for the ongoing, even though it's not. It's not. There's already evidence that they're routinely stalking me by helicopter, and I'm capturing video evidence of you flying over the top of my head. Why are you flying in a circle over here at the corner over me? And you're doing this everywhere, like I stated. You're flying over me while you're engaging in what is turning on the spotlight. This is an entity that is corrupt, where they have a bunch of demons and they surround a building, and all they do is say, this is what they call police work. We say that we're looking for a person, and so we're just going to surround that building, turn on lights, we're going to be in our police vehicles, and that's what Satan does when they're gang stalking. They literally, whatever they say that they're looking for, we're going to surround Gloria's Cochinas while they were obsessively stalking me while I was sleeping at the hometown barbershop at 4159 North Euclid Avenue. All those, they're engaged in surveillance. They know exactly what's inside of Gloria's Cochinas, and it was nobody. Nobody was in there. They want to be next to me. They want to sit around and stalk me, get as close as possible. So all they were doing was pacing. They engaged in a ritual around me. They engaged in what is stalking me while I was asleep, and they do so by wearing those police uniforms. So they must do so in a way that looks like they're engaged in the execution of a duty of an officer. Okay, so we're going to call this, we're going to go ahead and surround the building. We're going to aim light all over that. They're stalking with light. They're psychopaths. The entity, we're conducting a search here. That's all that they're doing. And because they're the police, this is an outdated system. This is not going to work anymore. But this is what they are accustomed to. If they say that they're doing X, Y, and Z, then they are doing X, Y, and Z, and nobody's going to question that they're doing X, Y, and Z. That's what they're relying on. That's an outdated system, and that's just not going to happen. And it's also already proven to not be the case. And they are also already, by everyone, the public, in the public eye, in the court of public opinion, if you will, they don't have any legitimacy. I have literally prosecuted them in the court of public opinion, but it's going beyond that. It's going beyond that. I'm going to get justice in a federal court. Okay, but nonetheless, the entity is engaged in what is surrounding a building, and we'll just call this a search. We got to look for somebody, and we'll fill out some paperwork, and we'll just say that we got to, search Gloria Cochinas, have a demon call and say, my alarm, but they'll still do and say whatever. These are the demons that are monitoring together. With or without a phone call. That's all they're doing, though. They're just stating, well, we're conducting the search, and so that's what we're going to do. Nobody's going to say, well, hold on, do you really need a search? What do you mean you need a search? What are you searching for? What happened that made you think that you need to conduct? Nobody's doing that sort of inquiry. These are gang stalkers. They're wearing police uniforms. So they're engaged in gang stalking American citizens by stating, oh, we're outside of your house because there was a robbery in the vacant building that's next to your home. And so that's why we have helicopter activity flying over your house. Nobody's telling you this, but this is how they are engaging in the pattern of conduct of gang stalking you while under the malicious guise of being a police department. And they're engaging in terrorizing you by stalking you by helicopter where you live. They're doing so under the guise of what is criminal summoning. They do so, and you know it because the fake moon is over your home, the fake sun is over your home, and it rises and sets there on the east side of your home, and it sets on the west side of your home, never leaving. If you don't leave home, that fake sun doesn't leave. When you do leave your home, that fake sun remains over you as you leave. But when you go back home and it's still daytime, that fake sun goes right back, remaining in alignment to you at your home. That's where the demons are engaging what is using whatever they want. They're abusing the discretion that they're given, and that's going to change because domestic terrorism in the United States is not a conspiracy theory anymore. Okay, the entity's engaged in what is criminal surveillance. That's not an unsupported unsupported conspiracy anymore. Okay, and it's not solely contended by those that are suffering from some mental incapacity, like the pattern of conduct, like this United States that's engaging in monitoring American citizens wants to be the general statement, the general assumption. Oh, if anybody says that they're being gang stalked, oh, that's a paranoid schizophrenic. That's the first thing that comes out. Those are the demons that are monitoring. It's a system in the U.S. Okay, but nonetheless, the entity is stalking. I'm taking a picture of that. They begin flying when I take pictures. I stop taking pictures. And I turn around because I'm done. I document it, and I go about, turn my backpack around, and I'm getting ready to go to sleep. And I turn back around, and you're still back here in the same position where I stopped taking pictures 3 minutes later. If you were moving as fast as you were at 11:40 p.m., 3 minutes earlier, because once I started stamping pictures, that demon started flying south. And they stopped flying once I stopped taking pictures, and 3 minutes later, they're still there. I immediately start recording video, and then they come directly toward me. And they fly over the top of my head. And I captured that on video. They're doing it while the fake moon is over the top of my head. The demons are engaged in then what is using criminal summoning as a form for not only presence at this ARCO to monitor my use of my device, monitor me wanting to be close to me. That's both the people of the state who are obsessed with me and the demons who are just wearing police uniforms who are obsessed with me. Stalking. Together. And not only that, the demon then engages in what is flying in circles, flies over my head the moment I press record. and then commences to fly in circles, turns on the spotlight. All of a sudden, once I start recording video, then you go from what is just hanging back stalking. Now, all of a sudden, once I start recording video, now you're flying in circles and turning on the spotlight, because this is an entity that engages. Oh, okay, now I'm engaged in, because the spotlight is supposed to be you're searching for somebody, you're doing something, says the demons who are gang stalking. Says them. Okay, and that's the entity that's engaging in that under a fake moon, under a fake sun, with a pattern of kidnapping, making documented malicious assertions. I'm molesting kids in the bathroom, or I'm harassing people. I'm yelling at people in the bathroom. I'm harassing people at the Ontario Town Square. These are all the documented lies coming out of the mouths of demons who are under a fake sun and a fake moon, and with impossible light activity. They're absurdly psychopathic, very demented mindset. That's mental illness that is no longer closeted, as you can see that impossible light. Those were psychopaths that were gang stalking via criminal summoning. The impossible light activity is your concrete evidence. It's tangible evidence of what the demon possessed don't want you to know about them. Number one, that they're demons and they're monitoring, and number two, that they're absurdly crazy. They're mentally ill. No hyperbole. Bat poo crazy, and I'm not exaggerating. Light slinging gargoyles. Absolutely out of their minds. Okay? You're talking about single white female, lipstick all over the face, in the mirror, psychopath crazy. That's what's being hidden by the demon possessed that are demons that are gang stalking. They're very much psychotic. Okay? That's why they're doing things like following me around in helicopters, by the way. But the entity engages in that. So coming to ARCO, this is what I was getting to. Coming to ARCO is also supposed to be the guise whereby even those that are viewing, you will be like, oh, well, maybe that's why they've got the helicopter. It looks to me like an ordinary traffic stop. By the way, what is the need for the helicopter? But second of all, under all circumstances, you don't even have to go to that level, but it does. It looks like an ordinary traffic stop. What do you need the helicopter activity for? But nonetheless, the helicopter activity preceded the criminal summoning at ARCO. Pay attention to that also. But I'll concede that. Say you got the helicopter activity for the for the traffic stop. That's supposed to be the guise for, oh, you're not stalking me as I go from F Street to E Street. You're over here flying in circles by helicopter because of the traffic stop, I guess? Because of the search? That's coexisting with impossible light activity. This is how you're dissecting the crime scene. All right, I've documented tons of times of the entity that's engaged in criminal summoning, and I'm showing you how to dissect the crime scene. And you're looking at the substance, you're looking at what actually is going on. The demons are engaging in one thing on the surface, and I'm showing you how to dissect that crime scene, and you can see that they're monitoring, they're stalking. Okay, the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct while they follow me from F Street to E Street. That is stalking. That's going from one place to another. Number one. Number two, the entity engages and utilizes criminal summoning as a means of monitoring me while I go here as I routinely do. And the entity is already gang stalking me routinely at this ARCO. Okay, and the Starbucks where the fake sun rises and sets. All of this is P.O.C. But the entity engages in, but nonetheless, we'll break it up because these are demons that are very highly unintelligent. Okay, they are literally going from moment to moment. Okay, they are living in an abrasive state of fear and paranoia. They are freaked out, and unfortunately, they don't know that they should have just stopped gang stalking me a long time ago. So this is how I'm getting evidence of what is very psychopathic, already to engage in the P.O.C. And you're still stalking, and I know you're scared to death. I can sense the fear in the air. And you're still targeting, though. That's why they're going to be put in asylums and in prison. That's why. Because psychopaths, demons that are fearful of getting caught, fearful of being humiliated, they engage in more criminal conduct. They engage in more inflicting of harm to others. They are not sane where they would stop engaging in that which is going to get them in trouble, that which is serving to their own demise. They don't do that. They do the exact opposite. They will go around killing, shooting, hurting as many people as possible until the feds raid them and restrain them, until they are, put in handcuffs, until they're dragged they will keep on until they are stopped. Okay, the entities engaging in this P.O.C. criminal summoning is serving, first of all, not only monitoring me as I come to ARCO, it's also communication of a threat as you analyze a stalker. The entity is surrounding you with the police where you're going to go as you are going to upload. They're keeping me under surveillance. They know exactly where I'm about to go to upload. I could go to Starbucks. Even if I go to Starbucks, they're monitoring in relevant position at ARCO. Okay, so this is the entity that's monitoring, stalking me under the guise of a traffic stop. But who are they stopping? The people of the state. the light-slinging gargoyles themselves that are engaging in very heavily documented surveillance of myself. The people of the state have no legitimacy, neither do the demons, the gargoyles of the Ontario police. And they literally engaged in gargoyle behavior via criminal summoning, okay? This is the entity, however, that's following in the helicopter from F Street to E Street. And then you're engaged, you can hear it in the background, I captured it on video, and I'm capturing it while I go across the street to get that video regarding the inexplicable box, a large box of large square shaped light activity that's appearing across the street on the wall of Chevron. That's engineer light. They're demons and they're stalking, okay? They're monitoring. They're doing so while you're not supposed to recognize it, because demons that are gang stalking as police departments, they just state, well, we're going to do a traffic stop. And the people of the state cooperate with it. They're gang stalking together. Okay? I don't care if they write out a citation. I don't care if they make an arrest. I've documented all these desperate acts of gang stalking me, by the way. All of it. It's the P.O.C. It will never supersede the P.O.C. either. They're engaged in public corruption. They spend millions of dollars using gassing up helicopters to stalk me. The entire population is sharing in that pattern of conduct. They keep a whole fake sun over me, amongst everyone else, over me. Yes, absolutely, they will engage in what is arresting people, pulling out guns. Oh, this is so important. A manufactured car accident, damage of property, setting fire, or at least you see smoke in the air, and that's the reason for the fire. I've documented all this. And it's literally about me. What is over my head? The fake sun. What is surrounding the engineered environment? It's all surveillance. All of it is serving surveillance. And coming over to the ARCO is a means of a threat. You're going to analyze it. It's a threat. And it's also relevant to what is criminal monitoring of my device as I upload it. And it would also, I'll even concede this, oh, it's the reason for the helicopter that's flying now over what is E Street and Euclid, even though they're flying over me, over my head and in circles before there was any traffic stop. But the entity could explain that away. Oh, it's because we were looking for him and then we found him and then we made them stop at ARCO and that's why we were flying in circles. However, there's a body of evidence of them stalking me for years in that same manner at every hotel, at every venue, including while I'm sleeping outside, stalking me from place to place, and a pattern of making documented false assertions, meaning there's not going to be a back and forth about he said, she said. I documented their lies and I've been subject to their kidnapping upon their lies. I've also proven that they're targeting while I've been subject to kidnapping upon what are malicious assertions against me because they are engaged in targeting. Now, what I want to break down is the entity is engaged in what is targeting. You can hear the helicopter, incessant helicopter activity. There is a body of evidence that's already on the record. Pay attention to that. Okay, so I'm litigating this on the internet right now. There is a body of evidence on the internet already. The ordinary target individual that doesn't have any evidence is the one that is vulnerable, and this is what's going to change because I've established precedent that will bless everyone. It's no longer an unsupported conspiracy theory that the government's engaged in, number one, monitoring, which is demonic, and number two, that they're engaged in criminal surveillance, targeting, stalking. Okay, it's an established fact. But not only that, the ordinary target individual is the one only that is vulnerable to the entity that is, first of all, I'm documenting it. So they are banking on, and this is, again, they have no funds. They are in the negative, okay, totally bankrupt, but they are banking on my documentation making me look mentally ill while they are stalking me, okay? And let's not use the word stalking right now. While they are flying over my head incessantly in helicopter, because that's what you'll see in the video, that's what you'll hear, that's what you hear on the podcast, ongoing incessant helicopter activity. The helicopter's not going anywhere, and I captured them doing so at the F Street and Euclid Avenue on video where I stated I'm gonna go and upload this evidence right now. Moments later, the demons arrive at ARCO, creating light activity in the path, monitoring as I walk here, and then engaging in what is intending to, and they're monitoring now. They just engage in conspicuous stalking by criminal summoning. That's what that's about. They don't cease to engage in monitoring when they drive off. Those are demons that are communicating a threat. That's the point of that. And they exhibit mental illness while they stalk you through a traffic stop. The people of the state's version of that, they exhibit mental illness while they're stalking you by going to a bank ATM. They exhibit mental illness by stalking you by going to buy coffee at Starbucks. They exhibit mental illness by stalking you by filling up their gas tank at the gas station. This is malice of demons that are obsessively stalking, and it's a fail in seeking to hide that. The intent behind everything that they're doing is proven through the specific environment. And you are a whole psychopath under ornaments and props in the sky. And you're stalking as a whole population of minions. these light slinging gargoyles that are dressing up as police. Because that's all Satan is doing. Satan's playing dress up. So these demons come to ARCO, and that could be, I'll even concede, oh, okay, so that's why the entity is flying in circles repeatedly by helicopter because of the traffic stop. The entity is, however, flying over me by helicopter on an ongoing routine basis, including at this venue, while the fake sun is documented rising and setting. The evidence of targeting by everybody, including that agency, and using helicopters to do so, in furtherance to psychologically torturing me and targeting me while that evidence shows who it's over, me, who it remains in alignment to. When everybody else scatters, that fake sun remains over me. They don't have the same experience, and it's not some illusion regarding, oh yeah, we do, while they drive off and the fake moon stays here and I'm looking at it stay here. It doesn't remain over them like what I'm documenting. They are not in the same position. We do not have the same status. That is the targeting entity versus the targeted individual, which is a very real status. The entity is engaging in this, and they're doing so while the entity is engaging in what is ongoing harassment by helicopter. When you are engaging in targeting and harassing someone, that is not evidence that they are mentally ill. That is not any sort of information, facts, and circumstances that demonstrate mental illness. That is, on its face, harassing behavior, which a human being, the ordinary targeted individual, may very well react to. What does that have to do with causing or hoping, banking on that I'm going to make myself look mentally ill in the public investigation of you stalking me from F Street to E Street, flying in circles over my head over and over and over again? That's the entity that's engaging in that, and that makes no logical sense. It makes no sense on its face. Okay? It's harassing, and you are not in the medical profession. Is not assessing mental illness based on your response to what is harassing on its face. But it's even deeper than that. The fake moon remains over my head as I'm documenting on video. The fake moon is over my head as I walk north to the ARCO. The fake moon is no longer over the Ramon Premier Mortgage at 537 North Euclid Avenue, where it was, where the demons were targeting me specifically, not just coincidentally flying over my head at that address. There's a difference. The specific environment is proving that they are stalking me in particular. That's what LAPD and the Ontario Police Department have in common, and I'm going to prosecute them for domestic terrorism. That's how you're connecting that they're all targeting. This is a statewide pattern of conduct. And you will never diagnose mental illness, nor is it assessed when you are targeting an American citizen. That's called psychological torture. Do you know who engages in psychological torture? Because we are not in World War II. These are war tactics. And you need to understand, the entity that utilizes war tactics are not, they're demonic. That comes from hell. Demons are engaging in what are spiritually attacking you while they are utilizing psychological warfare tactics. On its face, let me put it in layman's terms. They're merely bothering you incessantly. They're harassing you. They're following you around and they're harassing you. They're constantly badgering you without touching you, if you will. I'm just going to follow you around the city and fly in circles around you. When you look up in the sky, you're going to see a helicopter in the sky space. So I'm going to trigger you. I'm going to trigger you. I'm going to trigger you. And that's supposed to be the assessment of mental illness. You're not imagining anything. You're not imagining that, and none of you are imagining what it is that I'm publishing on the internet. That is not the assessment of mental illness, and that does not make me, the federal prosecutor, the one maintaining a very competent and necessarily public investigation of how a government targets American citizens that do not have evidence to prove that they are targeting in the way in which I stated at the outset, and I also stated that I'm going to prosecute them. Okay? That is not the assessment of mental illness, and that is going to serve to correct people that are kidnapped right now. And they're kidnapped pursuant to what is a targeting system. When you're engaged in what is targeting, that is directly rebutting the evidence of mental illness. If someone is acting out and no one is in fact targeting them, which is, again, gang stalking isn't happening, but that's not the case here. Okay? Actually, what you're understanding is the demon possessed are the ones that are suffering from things like paranoid schizophrenia. They're demons. Those are demons that cause that. Okay? They take drugs to deal with those demons, but that prescription is just causing some sort of you're just under some sort of influence. It doesn't do anything about the demons. In fact, it makes it worse. You're under the influence while you're still demon possessed all the same. But let me break something down to you with regard to the spiritual realm. The demon possessed are the ones that experience paranoid schizophrenia. It's a spirit. And paranoid schizophrenia is a way in which the entity is people that are engaged in the practice of medicine. They're diagnosing, quote unquote, diagnosing paranoid schizophrenia to people that are being targeted and don't have the evidence to prove that they're being targeted, and they're defamed by what they state having a core body of evidence relevant to what is exposing public corruption, gang stalking by the state. And they use that absence of evidence as proof of mental illness. And that is not the case. I already stated that. How do you get to that? Because say I've already proven it. So now we can entertain the alternative. Okay. So the P.O.C. is proven. The entity is in fact gang stalking, targeting. They're also demons, and they're engaged in the pattern of conduct of which is demonic. They employ even the supernatural. Okay, they're not just targeting. These are demons who are targeting, and they target you as demons with the intent to psychologically harm you, so that you are driven, quote unquote, crazy. Okay, that's an entity that's spiritually attacking you. That's a spirit that they seek to inflict you with, by the way. Okay, but that's again tormenting. And like I said, what I said, paranoid schizophrenia, that is the affliction of the demon possessed. And they seek to create that illusion based on conditions that they suffer from while they're riddled with demons. They're paranoid based on wicked things that they've done, demons that torment them. They're scared about consequences coming. They're scared of people based on things that they have committed to, things that they've been guilty of, things that they are... like the demons that have a guilty conscience, if you will. They have a unsubstantiated concern about things that are unlikely to happen as you're looking at it from your vantage point, but you don't know what it is that this person has done to other people, for example. That's the making of a paranoid schizophrenic, okay? It's demonic. But nonetheless, this is an entity that's engaging in the pattern of conduct. And as I've proven that it is happening, now we can entertain what the ordinary target individual's experiences. Because you do not have evidence of what it is that you are experiencing, the P.O.C., the impossible, says Satan. It's not impossible. All things are possible with Christ. But the so-called non-existence of evidence to establish what it is that you're experiencing, that's not the practice of medicine to diagnose somebody because they don't have proof of what they're experiencing. And you have those that call themselves medical professionals diagnosing for mental illness that doesn't exist. They're perfectly sane, and they're describing things that they don't have evidence to prove. They're describing things that that they perhaps cannot give effective words to, things like engineer light, directed light, a fake sun. Like, how do you describe that other than what it is that I've said? That is not the sun. That's the fake sun. It is exactly what it is. They're demons. They're the mentally ill. I'm going to document, I'm going to expose them as what they are. It is not bearing poorly on the reflection, bearing poorly, reflecting on that targeted individual at all. You want to be a light slinging gargoyle, you're going to find yourself in a facility. It's going to happen. American citizens are not going to be defamed anymore. So anyway, the entity is engaging in this, and in the absence of evidence speaking to what it is that you're experiencing, that is actually, as I've proven, not the evidence of mental illness. The absence of evidence is not the proof of the presence of a mentally demented state. Okay? Not at all. The absence of evidence it does not prove that they're mentally ill. And a government that's engaging in criminal surveillance, I am arguing under the Constitution that you do not have a right to defame their character. And that's what you're doing when you call yourself diagnosing someone, even against their will, taking their liberty, taking their property, when surveillance is coexisting in the way in which the P.O.C. proves. Not only is it not evidence of mental illness, under the Constitution, they don't have a right to do that against your will. Okay, because it is that which is serving what is a targeting system, and that is posing what is an unconstitutional threat. It's posing too high of a threat to American citizens, and that threat is unconstitutional. Okay, based on the existence of criminal surveillance, the threat of the ability to be targeted, the ability to be subject to what is this ongoing system of defaming your character for some nefarious purpose by the government that is maintaining surveillance. And since we are all under surveillance, you're talking about a targeting system. That is what is directly relevant to this so-called practice of medicine, where I have shown, I have the evidence, so now we can entertain what the ordinary target individual's experience has been. And so they're describing things that have never been proven before. They're describing things that nobody has ever spoken about because everybody's either a demon or they're a coward and they're engaging in it as well. Oh, excuse me. That's not the same thing, because if you're engaging in it, you're a demon. They're either a demon or they're a coward. Okay, they're subject to it. They're sitting around subject to it, and they are engaging in what is just complicity. Okay, and I just want to let you know what you hear, the conflict and what it is that I'm describing, because there's basically it's black and white. You are either for Satan or you're for Christ, and it's literally that clear. It's that cut and dry. Okay, there is no in between. Oh no, I'm not a demon. I'm not for Satan, but I am engaging in this. And this is what I'm approached with, sitting amongst demons that are sitting in church. How is it that you're justifying what it is that you're doing? What you're doing to me while I'm sitting in this church service right now? What is it that makes you think that Christ doesn't see that and that he's not perturbed by that? What is it? Do you think that it's okay to target somebody that's supposedly of the brethren? This is what you do to Christ Jesus? What you do unto the least of these, you've done unto me. That's what the Lord said. Why do you think that it's okay to target? Because that's what you're doing. While you sit in a church service, do you think that that's balancing out? Do you think that there's a such thing? There is no such thing. You are hellbound, just like the demons outside, hailing Satan openly under the fake sun. If you think that you're different, you're deceived. Now, the entities engaged in this P.O.C. and the absence of evidence is not the existence of mental illness necessarily at all. It is not per se. Not at all. And the entity is violating the rights of American citizens, and the pattern of conduct provides the evidence supporting that. Moreover, the entity that's engaging in this pattern of conduct, when you are engaged in targeting someone like I just documented, you followed. You're flying over my head. You're flying in circles around me. I go to another location, the next intersection, and then there you're flying in circles over me. Even if they want to stay, they're doing it because of the traffic stop. That's why they're flying in circles now over at E Street in Euclid. I have a body of evidence that directly rebuts that. Okay, a body of evidence that's proving, and that's also why these demons are delusional. You're stalking me every day. This is nothing other than the same exact P.O.C. Look at the engineered light on the ground. Look at my multiple shadows. Look at the helicopter that flies over my head. I have a body of evidence. It's not just today. It's not just right now. But the entity even followed me up the street. And let's just take that out, okay? Because the general premise is what I'm stating is that the entity has been engaged in what is defaming American citizens, and this is the formula. You're engaged in targeting them. You're stalking them while you're targeting them, and you use that you engage in that behavior to then hang back and call that what you sit back and observe about a person's reaction to your targeting them. That's what you're assessing regarding the existence of mental illness. That is not the practice of medicine. That is not mental illness. That's criminal defamation. It is the P.O.C. That's what they've been doing. That's the tactic that they just engaged in right now. And these fools did it again. Let me be clear. It is November 4th, 2025. I want to be clear. There's going to be a court hearing, in days, okay? It's a countdown. They are still gang stalking. And this is what I want the federal judges to listen to. This is psychological torture. The entity this is relevant to a system, okay? We're well beyond proving that the entity's targeting me. This is the existence of a system. This is a system that's going to change. This is a system that's going to change. You are not engaged in what is law enforcement while you're targeting. Second of all, you are not engaged in the practice of medicine when you are disregarding the relevant component to the facts and circumstances as you are assessing the existence, the question, whether there is a behavioral health issue in question when someone is being targeted and their behavior. Their behavior may be directly related to, is something triggering them? Are they being targeted? Are they being harassed? How do you ignore this component and yet you want to assess mental illness? That's not the practice of medicine. That is inherently biased. It is corrupt. That is not the practice of medicine, and you are doing harm. and you're maliciously doing that. It is the pattern of conduct, and it's unconstitutional. It's unlawful where they're taking your property. It's unlawful where they're taking your liberty and locking you up. And by the way, they are absurdly mentally ill themselves. They're actual mentally ill people stalking you. Stalking you, and then them stalking you is the behavior that they then sit back and assess, and you're mentally ill because you're annoyed or you're bothered or you're angry or whatever it is that the ordinary target individual is, absent any evidence to prove that they're being targeted or that they're having the experiences that they cannot perhaps adequately describe. That's literally the formula of targeting American citizens. This is how they kidnap. Okay, so what I'm breaking down, this is literally what these nincompoops, these imbeciles just did right now. All four of them, that's federal prison. Understand, it's not just stalking. This is committed in furtherance of seeking to murder me, of seeking to falsely depict my character. What happens with regard to, this is not going to happen, but what's the purpose of this right now? They're delusional. I have a body of evidence. You're not going to tonight on November 4th, all of a sudden, the whole case is going to change. You're ripping the carpet under my head, and all of a sudden tonight, I'm going to look like a paranoid schizophrenic, and you're just going to disregard everything else that just made it look like I had a point, but not tonight. Now everybody sees all that evidence that we thought was consistent and probative. It's not, and she's crazy. We're just going to erase all that. That was not, these are imbeciles, okay? These are demons. This is desperation. This is mental illness at its finest, okay? The mentally ill that are engaging in what is a corrupt system, and it's outdated. It's outdated. They're also engaging in what is relying on their position. If they say they're conducting a search, if they say it's a traffic stop, then that's why they're there, and nobody can question that why they're there and what they're doing while they're there. Okay, that's corruption. That's enabling corruption. The entity's doing so with the people of the state. I've surrounded every angle of this entity with the evidence that the people of the state are targeting, that the Ontario police are targeting, that the municipality is targeting, every business who are the people of the state, they're all targeting. They're all surrounded with the evidence. So it's the P.O.C. under the guise of a traffic stop, where you followed me to this intersection by helicopter, and while you are engaging in what is incessant helicopter activity, the ordinary target individual is the one that will be subject to some means of targeting, and that's what they use to assess mental illness. That's what they use to defame your character. They're both harassing you and at the same time, like, look, she's crazy. But wait a minute. Why is everybody acting like that helicopter is not following them around? How are you looking at just one aspect of that? Do you understand how imbecilic this is? Do you understand how one-sided this is? That makes absolutely no sense. But that's because I'm actually genuinely interested in finding out and making sure everybody else understands what's the truth of the matter. When there is actually mental illness at play, like somebody that has Down syndrome, and somebody that has, maybe you've got some sort of physical handicap and it affects the way that you speak as well, and perhaps you can't think as effective as the average person. You've got some condition. Okay, that's fine. Get whatever assistance you need. This is an anti-mental illness campaign. This is not that. This is about people that there is absolutely nothing wrong with them. The government is targeting people out here. And then they lie about it. They engage in overtly targeting you. And then while they're targeting you, your behavior is supposed to be assessed while they're targeting you. Where mental illness is that you can make an appointment with the therapist while nobody is targeting you and get a voluntary examination about your mental well-being. This is no assessment of mental illness. The entity is engaging what is targeting you and then using what is stalking you, engaging what is voyeurism as the evidence while they are under all circumstances stalking you. Engaging in what is using that to then create, manufacture, defame your character while they are creating what is the evidence of mental illness. That's not evidence of mental illness. It's evidence of somebody that's annoyed, angry, fed up with being targeted. The two are not the same. That's not the same at all. At all. At all. In fact, when you're talking about assessing mental illness, you're more likely and more effectively going to get an accurate assessment and get much farther in a process of healing and understanding somebody's condition when they are not surrounded with what is the chaos of gang stalking. This is absurd with regard to what the entity has committed against American citizens that don't know their rights. This is only underway because the system is corrupt, because this is one that is engaging in facilitating and enabling surveillance. That's the only way that you have this. You have what is is corruption in the medical field, you have corruption amongst the population, you have corruption amongst law enforcement and the practice of law. It's in affecting the courthouses. But that's what the entity engaged in. They literally are engaged in what is harassing me. That's not, you can't make me. I am leading, this is the case in chief. I'm prosecuting the U.S. government. Okay? This is a failed and outdated tactic. Everybody can now hear from me yourselves. I'm the one that they've been lying on. I'm the one who they've been acting like they're me. I'm the one that they've been stealing from. I'm the one that they've been acting like while they are doing so behind my back, talking all types of madness. But they're doing it behind my back. They're doing it while you don't know who I actually am. They're doing it while they're misrepresenting and clearly trying to manufacture information about my background. Well, they're like double talking. I state something and then they come behind ignorantly. I don't know about it. They come behind it. Oh, no. Don't listen to what she just said. She's lying. Like, I'm a lawyer. No, you're not. You're not a lawyer. I'm sorry. So what did I walk across that stage and gather if it wasn't a Juris Doctor? What was that then? What was it that qualified me to take the California bar if I'm not a lawyer? Like, what happened there? Well, I'm sorry. I don't understand. Can you help me understand? This is an entity of what are demons who are engaged in a campaign of defamation while they are targeting you, and they are doing so with the intent to engage in defaming you and ultimately to take your life. And what I am also proven, that's already proven. My evidence is to also serve the public, because the entities engage in what is defamation pursuant to what is false logic, and also inherently harmful practices in the medical field. The absence of evidence regarding the experiences of an American citizen is not the evidence of mental illness per se. No, it's not. No, it is not. And that is not to be used to take anybody's property against their will. That is not to be used to take their liberty. Absolutely not. And because of what it is that I'm proving, that I have already proven, this is necessarily changed. This is something that has to change. It cannot stay the same. With this particular area of law, we're affecting your liberty and affecting your property. This cannot stay the same because of what has been proven as a fact. As a fact. Because of what the government is doing. And by the way, it's particularly ignorant and it is nonsensical to rely on what is targeting someone, and that's a setup. That's corruption right there. They are necessarily targeting you and they know you're not mentally ill. That's why they're seeking to trigger you. Being triggered is not evidence of mental illness. And you're not witnessing me. I'm not triggered. I'm prosecuting. I'm litigating on the internet in front of the world. That's what you're witnessing. Don't get it confused and don't let somebody lie to you. And I want to be clear, mental illness looks nothing like this. It sounds nothing like this. It conducts itself in nothing similar to this. The mentally ill are the ones that cannot mimic me, but they are obsessed with me. And they also want to then try to insult me, which you can't, while you're stalking me at the same time. You're the one that needs mental assessments, okay? And you're going to get that help, by the way. Yeah, the convictions are coming and you're going into the padded rooms. Okay, you're going into straitjackets, you're going into prison. Routine mental examinations, that's what's coming. For actual mental illness, based on facts and circumstances and your behavior, which has been documented, pursuant to a pattern of conduct. Yeah, that not making it up, me not stalking you and then sitting back and stating, see, they're crazy. While you're stalking somebody? This is absurdly psychotic. And it should not be used against any person. It is never going to be that which is resulting in the practice of medicine used to assess somebody's mental illness. And the ability to abuse that is speaking to the fact that it is presenting an unlawful and unconstitutional threat to the liberty and property of American citizens. Because of this abuse that I have proven, this is not a basis. This is necessarily changing. Okay? It has to change. Based on what is the threat that American citizens are subject to. All they have to do is trigger you, and that's creating what is the illusion for a mental illness. That's not even the practice of medicine. And this is establishing the premise. This is the fact. Because you don't have evidence of what it is that you're describing, you do not then have the right to then assess, that is to malign somebody's character with regard to your ability as in the medical profession to diagnose them as one way or another because they don't have evidence supporting it. That's not the evidence of mental illness. Not under these circumstances. That does not apply, and that is factual. That's not some opinion that you just go get another second opinion. That's not what this is. This is not subjective. This is objective, factual information. This is a legal conclusion, and if you will, a logical conclusion. The entities engaging in this pattern of conduct, and this is speaking to what they just committed. You're stalking me by helicopter. You commence to flying over my head by helicopter over and over again. And then that's supposed to make me, you're not going to make me look mentally ill in my own investigation. Are you? Yes, they are. Bat poo crazy. Yes, they are. It's not going to work. And that it's also not going to work. There's a whole body of evidence. Everybody already knows the Ontario police are synonymous with demons. They're synonymous with vagina monitoring. They're synonymous with stalker. That's what they are. The entities engaging in this P.O.C. and they're doing so while the tactic is to target, harass, and stalk, defame, and kidnap, and then you're going to assess the behavior of the person that you're unlawfully harassing and following around. Where do you come up with that tactic? Because of an inherently corrupt system. Okay? You don't have anybody in the medical field that finds a problem with that. You have a whole population of people that gang up together to defame that person. And that person has to single-handedly, okay, this is what the average person is not doing. They don't have the P.O.C. This is, again, serving for the public. This is benefiting the public. This is a public service. In addition to what is establishing precedent, which is also part of a public service, this is also serving to prosecute and enforce my own rights as I litigate over the internet. The entities engaging in this pattern of conduct, and they are doing so with regard to what is psychological torture. Those that are engaging in psychological torture are mentally ill. It is psychopathic, antisocial behavior. It's demonic. And with regard to a government that's targeting you, they are engaging in psychological torture, and that is a tactic whereby they seek to defame your character, and that is not even what, and so this is what needs to change, because even where a government's engaged in targeting you, you have the medical field, there's a problem. There's a problem there. There's a problem with how the law is written. That needs to change. And there's a problem in the medical field because there should be nobody that is assessing the mental health, the well-being of an American citizen based on them being targeted by the state. That is speaking to the cooperative engagement in federal group stalking and monitoring. That's the system right there. That's the P.O.C. And that's where that needs to break up. That's not an accident, by the way. That is not an accident. They commit kidnapping as an entity. And in the same way you commit kidnappings, kidnappers go to prison. Terrorists, they go to prison. So you have a whole bunch of people kidnapping together. And guess what? You think that justice is going to be impeded upon because of numerosity? That's when numbers come into play, Satan. No, there's a lot of people that are going to prison. Okay, that's the return to sender, by the way. That's the return to sender. The entities engaging in this P.O.C., and they are doing so with regard to what is inherently problematic. There should be nobody in the medical field that would ever entertain the notion that you are under any circumstances, you are not, you are not, in other words, going to be targeted with regard to defamation on top of being targeted by the government. So now you're going to be maligned while they're targeting you. The government will never cease to be the stalker. This is in court, it's illegally irrelevant. And with regard to the medical field, you should be in a position of healing and restoration, not enhancing and exacerbating the harm, not facilitating kidnapping upon defamation, because that's what they're doing. Those are demons, by the way. Those are demons who are monitoring you in the spiritual realm, and they know very well that you're not sane. They know that you're being harmed. They know that you're being traumatized, and they seek to worsen the wound, if you will, psychologically. All right? They derive pleasure out of watching you suffer. All right, and part of inflicting that suffer is acting with the gang stalkers of a corrupt police department that utilize criminal summoning, stalking you by helicopter. You're documenting that on video. That's the entity that's triggering. You're stalking. And the P.O.C. is established. So you're establishing that the specific environment, all of the engineer light, this is stalking and monitoring. That's triggering conduct. That's not mental illness. And the entity, the world is going to recognize this, and this is how you're going to stop the entity that is targeting American citizens. There will be no confusion regarding who's mentally ill here. And it's the demons that engage in the iteration of the P.O.C. right now. The demons that are engaging what are speaking to the gang stalkers of the Ontario police, and the entity, the demons who are speaking to the demons who are the people of the state. They're all four of those demons are gang stalking me together, including the demon that's repeatedly flying over your head, triggering somebody, harassing somebody, stalking somebody, abusing someone. None of that is evidence that supports the existence of mental illness, nor when the entity is engaging in this, is it even legally relevant regarding the the mental health of the targeted individual. It is legally irrelevant. You're targeting. It's a distraction. It's a means of targeting them in court to kidnap them. This is how you're stopping this system. This is how they do that. That's literally what they did right now. And I just want to point out, that's how that system works. This is why it's going to change with regard to the system. And that's a failed and outdated tactic. And what also needs to change is these demons think because they're wearing police uniforms, they'll just turn on some police lights, center themselves around a person or location. They're all doing it under the fake sun. And if we say that we're investigating, we say we're searching, we say that we have a situation over here, that's all they do to engage in the elements of light activity, relative positioning, and audible activity with the people of the state. And nobody's questioning it. Gang stalking police officers. They go to prison. It's gang stalking police officers go to prison, and they are subject to mental examinations. This is the P.O.C. It's currently 1:24 a.m. I wanted to go through that. That was necessary to go through that. That's literally what you just listened to, those videos. I want to be clear, it's federal prison because it's not just ongoing harassment and and it's not just a civil suit where you're going to sue the department and everybody gets to keep their freedom while they engage in what is corruption as an agency that's engaging what they want to be taken seriously as police departments who are arresting people that are not innocent, have not committed any crimes. Their lives are at stake while they're bearing weapons, engaging in stalking and monitoring and kidnapping and defaming. And that is an unlawful threat in real time that is not adequately addressed by a civil suit. This is criminal activity by corrupt agencies that are masquerading as police departments. This is terrorism, and it is criminal conduct. And federal prison is the only adequate response. Only adequate response. They're out here murdering people, calling themselves police officers. They're in a position to take the lives of American citizens while they're engaged in surveillance. They're in a position to kidnap American citizens where they are likely to disappear or not survive in a facility. This is a too high of a threat. They're going to federal prison. All right, this is the entity that is engaging in that P.O.C. in concert with the people of the state. So I just want to make sure that that is clear. That's why I needed to go. I needed to run through all of that analysis right now, because that's literally what they did. It is, first of all, this is failed. The failed syllogism is just epic, okay? This is an outdated system. So this is something you've been doing since before the 80s, in the 90s, ongoing old police chiefs, and they're super duper corrupt. And if they say that Billy Bob and Robert and Joseph are gonna go ahead and just break in, and then we're just going to state that, you know, we had to shoot everybody in there, and then, you know, when they get here, we're all going to describe what happened on the scene, and nobody's going to ask it. This is an outdated system, and you are not being taken at your word. You do not have any legitimacy, and it's not going to be where nobody's questioning you, and nobody's questioning whether or not you have actual authority for, or actually what you stated happened is what happened, or that you are even in the position to engage in what it is that you have committed. In other words, it is already established that criminal surveillance is underway. The reality of the Nephilim, demons, are here. Engage in what everyone knows and understands, monitoring underway. And that's treated under the law as what is stalking. The entity's engaging in the pattern of conduct, and you are engaging in an outdated tactic. You literally engage in what is stalking somebody, and so while you're stalking them, and that's supposed to be the evidence of trying to make somebody else look mentally ill while you are the mentally ill one stalking them, that's the logic behind that. That is outdated. And it was a bad bet. You got a lot of people going to prison. You're going to prison behind this. And they're still doing it. Listen, federal judges, they're still doing it. They are still doing it as of November 4th, 2025. And they're doing it in furtherance of murder. Not just because they want to be a bully and then go around and leave you alone. They're doing this until you're 6 feet under. They're doing this until they can take your liberty, lock you up, and ultimately take your life. That's why they're engaging in that. It is in furtherance of murder. That's why federal prison and nothing less. Nothing less. This is P.O.C. It is currently 1:28 a.m. and it is. All right, cool transport, sex offender, molested me with impossible light, license 45692D2. This is a demon that's operating a commercial vehicle. You can hear all the noise. This is the demon stalking with noise. This is the demon that has the hazard lights on. You can hear the vehicle that's stalking with audible activity. This is the demon that's doing so under the fake moon that's over my head at ARCO, doing so while they're driving Ontario police vehicles. This is the demon doing so using cool transports. Again, 45692D2, monitoring on the internet, gang stalking in furtherance of murder, and that company is going to be prosecuted as a co-conspirator of murder, engaging in surveillance, and so is the demon operating the vehicle. They're engaging in what is sexual assault and battery. While my back is to this demon that's operating this vehicle, in front of me on my hands, I'm being molested with light that's crawling on me like bugs. This is a demon. This is demonic. You're going to prosecute for terrorism, and that is a sex offense while the entity is molesting your body. Also, this is relevant to, this is the moment that I begin uploading. I'm uploading onto YouTube right now. It's 1:43 a.m. Cool Transports is engaged in criminal facilitation. They're doing so in furtherance of murder, and this is also serving for federal prison of gang stalking police officers. It's their fault with regard to the corruption that a population is sharing in while engaging in surveillance and conspiring murder of American citizens. This is P.O.C. California license that is at stake. California 0283672. This is P.O.C. All right, I'm going to document serious mental illness. This is a psychopath. Rich, radiant light just flew across the black asphalt while this psychopath stalking at the gas station. Ooh-wee. Demons are a threat to the public. License 5SXU181. Stalking with the government that engaged in criminal summoning at the same ARCO under the fake moon. On surveillance cameras, walking to the front door in order to engage in pacing, knowing that the gas station is closed. These are mentally ill demons that are stalking, and so is St. Nick's. St. Nick's is still stalking on Euclid Avenue, creating light activity with the people of the state. This is a demon that is present at the gas station while I turn on my Wi-Fi. Well, I reconnect to the Wi-Fi after I was disconnected. The moment that I'm reconnected to the Wi-Fi and I resume playing a video on the internet, impossible light activity just shoots out like a shape of a boomerang in the middle of the asphalt. And then this demon is in slow motion, meaning they were already there stalking inconspicuously where I couldn't see them. And then they drive forward. That was not their headlights, though. That's a demon. That's a demon. This is mental illness that the entity shares while they're gang stalking. This is the pattern of conduct. That's exactly what is a threat to American citizens. You have no idea the level of instability that these people that are engaging in this unspoken secret system that they possess. And it is a threat to you. It is absurd level of imbalance and demented behavior. And then that's all supposed to be cloaked in what is the presentation of sanity and normalcy. And remember, they're not stalking you, they're minding their business. And that's a psychopath. Stalking with light. So I just want to document that's a third party. That's the entity. A population of psychopaths like that. That's what's gang stalking, and that's what's wearing Ontario police uniforms at that, with guns on their hips and badges on their chest, exhibiting that level of malice combined with mental illness. Giving, in other words, what is the authority to commit murders in the name of the state. That state that will find the legal reasoning and the precedent to uphold it in courts where targeting is underway. This is P.O.C. It's currently 2:39 a.m. Okay, this is the same Ontario Police Department. This is the entity that is stalking. This is the entity that is both mentally ill and obsessed with me. This is stalking by a demon in the engineer light.
not ignorant about who I am, is stalking on behalf of the state that is engaged in criminal summoning. The same stalking with impossible light activity, the same psychopathic pacing. These are the demons that want to be next to me in the bathroom, monitoring my vagina, stalking on behalf of the gang stalkers who are the Ontario Police Department. This is the both exposing what is pathetic about the Nephilim while I am embarrassing Satan, but understand that this is the mentally ill who are stalking. That's impossible light. This is a demon that's monitoring, being close to me as close as possible, which is what demons are engaging in. That they're obsessed, they're stalking together. This is a demon that's engaged in the P.O.C. All right, and doing so under the fake moon. Fake moon was over me while the entity is maintaining that pattern of conduct. While I'm taking a picture of it, here's the fake moon right here. This is the means of the same entity targeting. The fake moon moves from being over me at ARCO to going right back here. This is the pattern of conduct. This is not a somebody that's passed out and is unconscious and isn't aware. This is the level of mental instability that an American citizen is being confronted with by a population of obsessed stalkers who are also demon possessed. This is what you are going to disband as a police department. These are the pathetic and extreme and desperate extents to go to with regard to stalking me. Okay, this is P.O.C. It is currently 3:16 a.m. This is Satan that has been obsessed with me and has been stalking, and they're going to prison. They're being removed from law enforcement. They're being shut down as operating an airport. They're being removed from maintaining surveillance as a fire department. They're being removed from the medical field, and they're going to be placed in asylums and going to federal prison for kidnapping. This is P.O.C. It is currently 3:17 a.m. All right, this is P.O.C. And this is all stalking as you're recognizing it in the specific environment, and it is stalking recognized by a population on vehicles, on the roads and the highways, and on foot. And this demon waited until I started recording to cross path. This is the one that was stalking last night. This is all stalking on the highway. And the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking in concert with the population that is making up the demons that are around me on the ground by stalking over, flying over where the fake sun is in alignment to me, and flying over, hovering over Euclid Avenue. They are a part of this pattern of conduct of stalking in the environment. This is monitoring, okay? All right, so it is currently, the time is, like I stated, well, it's 7:32 a.m. This is a third-party stalking with light as well. 7FRS 594, and Starbucks is monitoring. Starbucks is gang stalking with the people of the state who are in what is engineer light. This is where you're walking your dog. This is how you're gang stalking. That's not sunlight, and that's not the sun. This is the P.O.C. The entity is engaging. You can see that light activity and the perpendicular shadow. Mental illness. The entity is engaging in that, and this is mental illness shared by a population. Moreover, the entity is engaging in this while you're looking at what is that engineer light that you're walking in. So this is what this demon is accomplishing while you're systematically being monitored. You can see the shadow that's moving in front. This is impossible light activity, and it's also creating a multiple shadow right here and one that's in front up here. And then you have what is the fake sun that moves as I move, not when they move, not as they're driving. The fake sun remains in alignment to me. The entity is engaging what is maintaining that specific environment. This is engineer light right here. This is all engineer light. This is that engineer light that I like to show you with regard to the illusion that the demon possessed are unintelligent and who have science that's going to prosecute them as a population and as a government body targeting. Okay, the entity is engaging in this. If you'll recall, what is the magnification, first of all, of my shadow is speaking to what is engineer light, and this is how an entity is monitoring as a population. This is public corruption, and this is all on behalf of the gang stalking police department. Okay, they don't have to drive by in their police vehicles because this demon is gang stalking, and they are representing a network of devices around you, keeping you under surveillance by driving in engineer light. 04390X1 is a demon. Second of all, that's a third party. None of them are private citizens in the specific environment. And that's light activity creation while you are gang stalking in the specific environment. Thirdly, what you're going to pay attention to is here's the angle, the trajectory of that light. See this? It's shooting at a downward angle. And this is, again, what is the fake sun as you're just dissecting this environment. Chevron is gang stalking, ARCO is gang stalking, Starbucks is gang stalking. This is gang stalking with regard to traffic. They're engaging in what is driving in an engineer light that's appearing on the passenger side of their vehicles.
while they are driving on under the fake sun that's still over me as I'm on this side of the sidewalk at 11:59 a.m., 12 o'clock in the afternoon. 8XIT111 is engaging in a federal offense, stalking on behalf of the government, conspiring your murder while they are ostensibly on the surface and you're ignorant about everything, subject to what is targeting, and you are under what is this illusion with regard to nobody. You don't know anyone, and no one is following you around. They're all stalking you together. The fake sun remains in alignment to you. That's why it's over me on this same street after 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and in alignment to me while I am looking at this same thing that's on this same side of the street, and that same airport is stalking by engaging what is crossing path, deviating from the operations of an airport, indicating state action in concert with the people in a supernatural environment where at the end of the day, after 6 p.m., where daylight savings time is also an indicator regarding an illusion and a fake sun that remains at one location. At the end of the day, under what is a fake sun. This is the entity that's engaging. You're looking at the trajectory of the light. The trash can's appearing on the floor over here, the shadow of it, and the entity is maintaining this environment. What you're also remembering is that what the demons forget while they are stalking, and what they are forced to do is admit that they're stalking under a fake sun that's over me at the Ontario Airport Inn at 1801 East G Street. This is not over G Street. This is also not even the sun, as you're looking at the engineer light actually that they're in, and the fake sun that would be, the sun that would be over me at 1801 East G Street. Again, you already know that that's not the sun at that venue. It stayed there until after 5 p.m. That's how I'm talking about Jason Reed and Montclair, while the fake sun's over me at 440 North Holt Avenue. However, break it down video by video, because you can do that. It's the same analysis. If it's over me at the Ontario Airport Inn at 7:49 a.m. before daylight savings time on November 3rd, 2025, on November 1st, daylight savings time is November 3rd, today is November 4th, then you're talking about what would be 6:49 a.m. and it's currently 7:36 a.m. I captured videos because you're not looking at anything in a vacuum, and what's remaining over me at 7:54 a.m. in what is the same pattern, this engineer light, as you're breaking down an illusion. Not the sun, it's still there at 9:19 a.m. on video, which I captured at that same address. It would never evolve to be over this street, but you also know that because it's over me on this same street at 12 o'clock in the afternoon and 6 in the evening. However, the entity maintains that fake sun over me on Ontario Airport Inn. In what is engineer light? This is all engineer light. As you can see, what is the ongoing reflection of engineer light that ricochets, the laser that they drive through, that manifests in the shade, that creates multiple shadows, where the government is that's where the government is stalking. And the government's engaged in conspicuous stalking. You're engaged in stalking while you're maintaining a traffic stop. That's exactly what the Ontario police committed on video over and over again, stalking me by helicopter. And what else are you paying attention to? This is where the entity has the fake moon over me. This is where the fake moon is over the top of my head right here at the same venue where the entity is stalking me by helicopter. That's where the fake sun rises at nightfall. That's what happens at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. Stalking me by helicopter, that's where the fake sun would rise. Distinct from here. Not in concert with happening at the same time and simultaneously over everyone everywhere while it's over the Ontario Airport Inn. It's not remaining over Woodside Senior Apartments where the Ontario police are stalking me by helicopter, and that's where the fake sun would rise and where the moon is over me at nightfall. The same with the Topor Professional Building. The same with the Economy Inn, that which is adjacent to the 60 freeway. This is not next to the 10 freeway. It's not appearing like it's over the 10 freeway. It's not remaining in the window of Omnitrans. This is the entity that's engaging in criminal summoning while they're gang stalking. This is mental illness that Michael GERKEN is fully and publicly recognized as being afflicted with while he's been engaged in a pattern of conduct. Stalking with light, using fire trucks, stalking with light, using police vehicles, mental illness, the demons that share it, stalking with light. They're all doing it under a fake sun. All of them. The entity's engaging in that pattern of conduct in a whole engineered environment. They're engaging in this P.O.C. while they're engaged in that pattern of conduct as one. Okay? That's what the entity's engaging in. While that's massive facilitation, they're doing it in what is an impossible environment. The Ontario Airport Inn is not the location of the sun that's going to be reflecting off of the buildings of the Truth and Love Ministries while they're maintaining what is at 531 North Euclid Avenue, 537 North Euclid Avenue. The trajectory of the trash can showing at a downward angle on this wall while they are driving in what is, you're also looking at what is activity on the roads and the highways. Impossible light appearing on the driver's side of Omnitrans, that's gang stalking. This is all manner of recognize. What is that mental illness? The demon possessed that are light slinging gargoyles, that engage in things such as sounding sirens when they're engaged in gang stalking somebody, not having a legitimate emergency. There are no such things under the fake sun. It's all an illusion regarding sanity. It's an illusion regarding law-abiding citizens. It's an illusion regarding privacy. And it's also an illusion regarding what is avoiding a federal prosecution when it's all over the internet. Meaning everybody is already aware of it and they are engaging in what is witnessing their public demise and what is a breakdown of this system. The entity kept the fake sun over me on November 1st, 2025 as a matter of video documentation. The video at 7:55 a.m. when I'm in the courtyard, that same courtyard where I'm leaving on November 3rd, 2025 at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, give or take away an hour, it's remaining stationary at 1801 East G Street. That is not this. It was never going to be over 1801 East G Street, but there's evidence that even precedes that. It never would have been over me adjacent to that at Ramada by Windham. But it is, and it stays there. It's over me at 9:19 a.m., which would be 8:19 a.m. The entity has the fake sun over me while I'm looking at 7:41 a.m. This is gang stalking. P.O.C. Shadow moving this way, walking in it, looking like you're bored while you're gang stalking, legally irrelevant. Not knowing the demon's name while they're gang stalking, legally irrelevant. Absolutely unnecessary. They're monitoring your vagina and you don't know their name. They're pacing all around the building where you're inside indisposed, and they're all monitoring and aware of who you are, proven through the maintenance of the supernatural environment and their demons. This is P.O.C. This is the prosecution of Ontario Airport Inn. These are demons that are stalked because that's the objective of what they accomplish. They want to be on the side of the street that I'm on, stalking with light. This is what St. Nick's is doing last night. St. Nick's are demons stalking with light. What the Ontario police are doing at ARCO, engaging in criminal summoning, stalking with light, mental illness. License 9TNJ 549, stalking with that government under a fake sun, sharing mental illness. The fake moon is over my head last night where the Ontario police are stalking over my head. This is where the fake sun is rising in alignment to me. This is P.O.C. It's 7:42 a.m. I'm going to attach the video showing what is the remainder of the fake sun at Ontario Airport Inn, the latest venue where I remained, and the fake sun rose and set, meaning it did not move, meaning it would not ever be here, as you're going to hold the demons to the illusions that they create while they are stalking in an implausible, unfeasible, and scientifically impossible manner, which is speaking to their mental illness and the public corruption. Every corrupt business, every demon that's gang stalking. Every single last one of them. You could see him gang stalking last night. The fake moon was over me. Okay? Gang stalking with Michael GERKEN, the demons that are molesting with impossible light. And they're molesting with impossible light while a fake sun remains over you. This is a sex offense. It's a violation of your privacy. And it's stalking by a population of the mentally ill. This is the Nephilim. This is P.O.C. It is currently 7:42 a.m. That is indeed stalking. And this is the government that's acting with the population, crossing path, crossing path, crossing path, crossing path. They go to prison when they engage in criminal summoning with the gang stalking police. Okay? Just want to make sure that you recognize that that's audible activity, relevant positioning, and stalking in the path. Sharing in this. Remember, engineer lights appearing underneath the shaded structure, the shaded hood of Starbucks. They're gang stalking. They're gang stalking in the drive-thru. I've shown you all the iterations of stalking with light. They have engineer light dragging in and out, all inside of the Starbucks, on the sidewalk. I just took a picture of it. They're monitoring. They're all stalking together. 50429D2, 719. This is one demon after another stalking with light. 9MET656. This is a mentally ill population. In addition to exhibiting mental illness by stalking in the path, hovering in the sky space, and going back toward the airport's direction is no takeoff or arrival. And there are No planes taking off from the airport over here at what is E Street. Stalking, being as close to me as you can at the bus stop. Moving under a fake sun that moves as I move, just like I captured in the video at 537 Euclid Avenue. I'm here at 1 o'clock in the afternoon when that same airport is stalking with the population. This is during daylight savings time on November 3rd when I'm coming from this direction where the fake sun is over my head, and on video you see the same chevron. This is at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1 stalking. That's how you're understanding. And this is a demon that's listening to you and is also monitoring your genitalia, stalking on behalf of that government, doing so in a whole engineered environment. Demons don't have a race. They also don't have no constitutional protection. You're going to prosecute them. 7MXM432. And the entity that's gang stalking with the police, I want to be clear, gang stalking police are not going to provide a defense of the gang stalkers during criminal summoning, meaning, in other words, well, they're exercising authority and they can't drive away because the entity has them under what is detention. They're gang stalking together. It's the criminal conspiracy. All right, both of them are engaging in gang stalking, and the case surrounds the people of the state, and the case surrounds the government that is monitoring with them in the same way that you see using commercial planes, stalking in the path. They're using police vehicles, light activity in the specific environment to monitor. They're both going to prison. That was the crime scene right here, where the fake sun is rising, follows from 537 North Euclid Avenue, is still here at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 1:01 p.m. And what is that demon doing? Stalking in a commercial plane, and it's not even headed toward a destination. They are stalking just like everybody else here, and they are sharing mental illness. They're all stalking with light. P.O.C. It is currently 7:49 a.m. and 8:49 a.m. with regard to the time difference. And on November 1st, the entity kept the fake sun over that same hotel. It did not move, meaning it would not be here, meaning there's a significance with regard to the corrupt operation of the airport plus the fake sun here. And this is relevant to surveillance of a specific person, surveillance of the one that knows it and has already proven it, surveillance with regard to the shutdown of the airport, the shutdown of the fire department, the disbanding, the shutdown of that police department, and what is a federal prosecution of this government that shares in stalking you and kidnapping you. That's also why they go into prison for criminal summoning. Both the demons wearing the police uniforms and the demons that are the people of the state, supposedly under a detention. They're in the specific environment. It's the criminal conspiracy to commit murder, gang stalking together. This is P.O.C. It is currently 7:50 a.m. Impossible Light, they don't have a defense. They're going to be prosecuted. Okay? The entity moves the fake sun to be in alignment with me. The fake sun is still here after 7 p.m. through the window of the drive-through of these demons calling themselves Starbucks. All right? That's P.O.C. Alrighty, Starbucks is engaged in criminal summoning at 507 North Euclid Avenue with the Ontario Fire Department. Engaged in the pattern of conduct, license 8TTG072. So is Chevron. That's not a Starbucks license plate. That's a demon that's crossing paths right now while I'm recalling the facts and who's engaging in that federal offense in relevant position to me at the time. Criminal summoning is documented, and Starbucks is engaging in that. Everybody working at Starbucks right now is sharing in that offense. This is all committed in furtherance of murder. Balbeer is at Chevron at 506 North Euclid Avenue, and the ARCO employee gang stalking with all of the demons under the fake sun in the airport that's doing U-turns and dips and gang stalking under the fake sun. License 6 GFC 904. This is the same population that shares in criminal summoning with gang stalking police. Like I stated, you are looking at the same elements of monitoring. Impossible Light, this is how they conduct a traffic stop with Impossible Light. They're monitoring. License 9JSJ007 is gang stalking with ARCO under the fake sun, and all the purchases made are pursuant to what is criminal monitoring, including this demon that's pacing 7GHT272. ARCO is license 9TIH520, and Balbear is at what is Chevron gang stalking. 91484, that's handicap. So Hardick is gang stalking at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, where that fake sun, as you're going to prosecute gang stalking immigrants, you're going to prosecute corrupt businesses, you're going to prosecute the people of the state, you're going to prosecute the government that's doing so in that recognizable, proven way, where demons that are associated with school districts are gang stalking. These are the demons of the license 1302373. These are demons that are engaged in criminal surveillance, and they're operating a vehicle associated with a school district. This is the problem behind This is Chaffee Joint Union High School, a very heavily documented gang stalker, and these are demons that are utilizing the vehicles associated with the government, also associated with education, school, minors that are engaging in criminal activity at the same time. That's demonic and sexually violent, and speaking to what is public corruption, and it's also built into the pattern of conduct. These are demons operating school buses as well, gang stalking, stalk with the possible light while you're driving a school bus, while you have custody of children, access to children, engage in criminal conduct in a school bus, via a school bus. That's the P.O.C. However, this is exactly what is the threat of this population, DASZ64. It is currently 7:54 a.m. So the demons that are exhibiting mental illness by stalking in the path with a fire truck, they do so with ARCO, CHEVRON, Starbucks, UNICARE Community Health Center, all of what the zone of relevant positioning where I'm at, the Empire Publishing, demons that are all in that engineer light. They're all walking their dogs. They're all pacing on the sidewalk. These are demons that share in what is monitoring, while the Ontario Police engaged in what is the documented tactic of psychological torture. Everybody's going to prison for what this criminal system exposes that they've been doing for years. Okay, and it starts with what I've shown you, the demons wearing those uniforms, the demons that are stalking with them using commercial planes, the demons that are utilizing helicopters stalking you all over the place, which is never going to be a basis to assess anyone mentally, no one but the demon that is stalking in the helicopter, and anybody else aiding with targeting. Okay, the entities engaged in this pattern of conduct under what is an identifier: public corruption, the fake sun, surveillance. Meaning it's legally irrelevant with regard to what is the P.O.C. It's a basis of seeking to defame. While you're stalking as an airport, while you have a documented pattern of kidnapping as an airport that is monitoring, this is an entity that's, again, facing what is federal prison. Okay, and it is also no mystery, and this is how it's going to be. Just like I'm letting you know what's going to happen with Mike LORENZ, with this agency, what's going to happen with every other corrupt angle of this government that's gang stalking. The demons that are stalking in commercial planes, they're going to asylums and they're going to prison. They're engaging in kidnapping as that whole operation operates together, studying and breaking down the video evidence of what the demons are doing together when they think that they're slick, and they also think that their voodoo hoodoo is going to keep you blind to their illusion, meaning, oh no, we're not stalking and targeting in order to trigger someone and then have that abuse to be used by those that are targeting in the medical field and assess somebody's mental health when we're kidnapping them all together. Oh no, we're not doing that. This person is imagining that a helicopter is following them around. This person is imagining that people are targeting and harassing them. This person is imagining that they're being accused of things that they didn't do, and all of that, it doesn't even matter, because you're just going to look in the vacuum of what is the target individual saying and doing, because that is how you're going to diagnose mental illness. These demons are delusional, and this is what you know. They're light-slinging gargoyles. They're all under a fake sun, and this video evidence is speaking to what is a mentally ill society. It's going to inform the study of medicine. It's going to inform those that are going to be removed from positions of authority and influence and power. It's going to inform what is the reassessment regarding the medical field and how to deal with a society full of those that are mentally ill, psychopaths. 9KEN697, which everyone knows are the Nephilim. Because this is a problem that's affecting the country. The Nephilim are all over. The cockroaches that you see infesting California, they're all over this country. All over. And it's a public safety concern. License 8WPD832. This is P.O.C. The gang stalking immigrants are working inside of these venues, and they're going to be deported. This is P.O.C. The entity has the fake sun, like I stated, hours from now, not over anybody, over me, as I come from Ontario Airport in a distinct location where the sun would never be here, but for proving probative documentation of targeting, which is also even recognized in the environment where the demons are stalking you. And then you're going to go back and look at all the ways in which they're stalking in a way, Satan thinks you're never going to know. Now that you know, now you're going to diagnose and you're going to prosecute based on all the malicious ways of the pattern of conduct. Stalking in an ambulance, stalking in a fire truck, stalking in a police vehicle, stalking as a police department, stalking as a business, stalking as a family member or a fake friend, stalking as somebody that is thinking that they can cloak themselves as a stranger, stalking as someone that's stalking in a helicopter. All these, they're going to be diagnosed and they're going to be convicted. Committed and convicted. This is what's happening. This is P.O.C. It is, like I stated earlier, November 4th, 2025. This is the daytime version of what the demons of the Ontario Police engage in with the same population of light-slinging gargoyles, and this is what they're relying on with regard to an actual execution of the duties of an officer pulling over a demon, and they're all being demons at the same time. That's the pattern of conduct. This is P.O.C. 7DDL441, I believe. 7COL441. Stalking with Balbier. 8WPD 832. Stalking with Balbier. The Ontario International Airport. Stalking with Balbier. All of ARCO, including the employees, stalking with Balbier. The demon possessed. The Chaffee Joint Union High School, stalking with Balbier. Starbucks is stalking with Balbier. The entity that's gang stalking on CMAX that you see the street sweeper light stalking with Balbier, as I'm isolating because that's exactly what's going to happen to you, not only before Christ. You're going to stand alone, but guess what's happening in federal court? You think you're going to have your gang members helping you? Actually, what the gang members are doing are going to serve to convict you. Yeah, you can be standing before a judge by yourself. Those charges against you, your name. The gang violence is going under your name, as it's going to be analyzed with regard to the entity that's acting through you. And you're all stalking together. Chevron is gang stalking with Balbier. P.O.C. 7RQS775, 8BPF 932, 6LEL028. This is P.O.C. at the Chevron at 506 North Euclid Avenue, where it's over me at the same time, it's where it's over me as I'm proven on Sunday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Then you're looking at what is stalking. That's another angle to prosecute that gang stalking airport that's conspiring your murder. It will be science that is removing Atif El-Qadi. If that is indeed someone that's not a natural born citizen, because he's already being prosecuted. 9KEN 697. If Atif El-Qadi and anybody else, Malawi, I believe, anybody else that's on that executive team or on that airport board, anybody, because the entirety of that airport is going to be prosecuted. If you're not a natural born citizen, you're being deported. Okay? You're being deported. You have a whole illusion with regard to power in the first place and position. You're a vagina monitoring team of demons, gang stalking. And the world sees you, and they're also going to watch your demise. Because terrorism is not welcome in this country. And the Nephilim are a threat to the public, and everybody sees you. License plate 8AMU575. Science is going to prosecute the gang stalking by the airport at 7 in the morning, the gang stalking by the airport. That fake sun is over me in alignment to me at the same address. It follows me from the Ontario airport. That's how you know it's not everybody. No, it's not. The demons that are unintelligent thought that they could easily defame you. That's malice as well. You're going to prosecute for every defamatory syllable that comes out of the faces of the Nephilim. P.O.C. It is currently 8:01. License plate 9FKV760, 7TGF122, SPID3R. These are the license plates of the people that state gang stalking, and they're routinely, regularly, systematically, repeatedly gang stalking in the parking lot where the ARCO is located, where the entity is stalking by airport, stalking as a population, keeping the fake sun moving as I move this parking lot, and that's relevant to the prosecution of stalkers that are acting with the government, a government that needs a population, and that population that wants to repeatedly, oh yeah, sure, I'll gang stalk the targeted individual with you on a daily basis, every day. That's speaking to what is the escalation of federal charges. You're already going to be prosecuted. You're talking about going to prison. And that's the entity that thinks, no, you're not going to, and avoid prison. No, you're not. This is how you're going to cause the population to think twice when they want to act with a government that's already exposed. All right, this is disincentivizing gang stalking because you're going to be deported if you do it. This is disincentivizing gang stalking because you're going to prison if you do it. Okay? License 8MQB725. Lessons that California didn't want to pay attention to, didn't want to learn soon enough. And they still haven't learned it. They're still gang stalking. And it's going before a federal judge as well. Because people are going to be in federal court talking about what nobody's going to listen to. Oh, I didn't know and I didn't mean, and 9TQD 901, can we negotiate? No, none of the above is happening. Absolutely not. The target individual's life remains under threat. In fact, the judge is going to be looking and aware of evidence to the date before sitting in that courtroom. Are you delusional? Yeah, they know that. They've seen all the evidence as I've shown what is relevant for those in the medical field that are not of the Nephilim, that are not corrupt, that are not light-slinging gargoyles trying to lock up and kidnap American citizens, target them. That your mental illness is exposed by gang stalking. 1438317, City of Ontario. 6WHH366, P.O.C. It is currently 8:03 a.m. All right, license plate, stalking. The fake sun moves to me at the intersection. It's remaining over the Ontario Airport Inn. This is stalking. Unadulterated stalking, 7ADU319, psychopath. License, driving an engineer light, 9CPS 478, stalking, 9STF 250, stalking, all of them, on behalf of the government. And the whistle has been blown. The federal government has been watching me prosecute a population of demons. They've been watching the whole time. There is no mystery here. Just want to let you know that. License, 8PVH115, 7HZE617, stalk with the possible light while the demons have migrated to fly over Sarah's Regis Group with commercial planes. That's not what they're doing while I'm at the ARCO. 647XGD, yellow license plate, stalking with the possible light. Maybe that's Mexico or something. DM807TY, that's out of state, 9NYU340. I've already shown you the video of them stalking with the possible light, the supernatural. The demons that are stalking with light are the ones that are engaging in criminal summoning with the police. They're going to prison. The entity that you see, the people of the state, they're going to federal prison. License 8RBG953. They're going to be diagnosed and they're going to federal prison for engaging in criminal summoning like what you saw on video last night at 12 o'clock in the morning. All right, so their same impunity, it's going to be taxing in a federal case. You're going to prison, you're not innocent, and you are not viewed as innocent, and you are not actually innocent, and you're not going to be treated as innocent when you're gang stalking through a detention by the gang stalking police. You're going to prison. That's why they're gang stalking right now. Where are the police at? They're gang stalking while the population maintains that satanic means of targeting. And that's what they're doing together via criminal summoning. You're going to prison. 7HZE617 is gang stalking with the airport that flies over the apartment building. The apartment building that has engineer light while the security guard is gang stalking. Okay? P.O.C. Stalking. 9BMW279. The parking garage, the apartment building where the entity has engineer light covering the ceiling inside of that parking garage. That's where the airport is stalking. Moving as I move in that direction. Okay? Impossible light fills that parking garage where the sun that's certainly over 1801 East G Street is not having any sunlight appearing in that parking garage, nor when it's here, which it's still here where A Casada is at 12:14 in the afternoon under a fake sun, which is also speaking to the how irrelevant daylight savings time is under the fake sun. That's how you're analyzing the specific environment, which is the clear identification of a crime scene where criminal summoning is going to be the basis of everybody involved going to prison. 9TOEO19, 3UHM902. Sarah's Regis Group is gang stalking day and night and engineer light. So is the city of Ontario, full of demons. And all of the immigrant population is being deported. P.O.C. It is currently 8:06 a.m. All right, stalking, license, 7S71109. Stalking is identified through the movement of a fake sun in alignment to me. All right, it's not both the stationary object that's remaining at 7:54 a.m. and then on video over me at the same property at 9:19 a.m. but at the same time remaining over what is Euclid Avenue over me as I advance south on Euclid Avenue onto Lemon Avenue, and that fake sun is remaining in alignment to me. It wouldn't have even been at Ontario Airport, and based on what I already documented at the square, at the Civic Center area. The entity is clearly stalking and doing so. And while the government is stalking you, a government is shown to be conspiring your murder. And that's exactly how murderers are going to be prosecuted, based on the facts of them conspiring your murder by engaging in what is entirely illegitimate criminal surveillance, psychological torture, sexual violence, while they are engaged in what is monitoring you. That's the whole significance of engineer light, P.O.C. Okay, that is again 8:08 a.m. Brightview is monitoring. Doing so with the entity that's engaged in criminal summoning. And the demons are engaging in what is stalking as a whole fire department now that the fake sun's over the square and the entity's engaging in criminal summoning again. P.O.C. Alrighty, I'm going to show you the fake sun that's over the square. They engage in the same thing during my video at F Street in Euclid, and that's where the fake sun is located. Aiming light. The trajectory of that light over the trash can, the shadow of that trash can is appearing on the wall at an angle away from it. When you're just looking at the trajectory of that light, that's where the entity is concentrating its sirens. While they are crossing paths with light activity, doing so last night, this is mental illness. And Brightview is monitoring with the government. Okay? This is P.O.C. It's what they're doing while the entity is engaged in that pattern of conduct with the people of the state who are pacing around. The leaf blower is audible activity under the fake sun. And the advancement of that fake sun is showing the actual purpose of a gang stalking fire department that has begged and pleaded and demonstrated unworthiness, and also the fact that they are unfit, okay, to even be in the position of being a firefighter, and they will not be. Their mental illness is public information, and their criminal engagement in targeting one specific person that knows exactly what they're doing. And I also approved it, and I documented it for the whole world to witness. The removal of a whole fire department, sharing in what is a conspiracy to murder, using what is a fire truck over and over again, psychopathic pacing, stalking with light, pursuant to monitoring, stalking, very detailed stalking of what it is that I'm doing, where I'm at, as I do it, including on my devices, including regarding my genitalia in the bathroom. All right, it is, and that's at every location, not just the heavily documented sexual violence by this fire department at OVITT Family Community Library. It is currently 8:09 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, Wells Fargo at 240 North Euclid Avenue, gang stalking during the day. They're gang stalking at night as well, just like I documented. Using the ATM, being inside of the venue, any manner of ongoing gang stalking, including or being around that venue, you're going to be prosecuted. And Wells Fargo is. They're also monitoring under the fake sign at that same address with the government engaged in criminal summoning. Just like I documented upon my exit of OVITT Family Community Library last night, where psychopaths are stalking with light as criminal summoning by the same demon-possessed Ontario Fire Department is underway in the specific environment, while the entity is maintaining ongoing surveillance with the people of the state. This is the entity that's centered, it's the operations of its fire department around me, and the demons are engaging in what is the P.O.C. while they listen to what they already know is the case. Their public demise, everyone's witnessing. This is a mental crash out. It's analogous to stalking me by helicopter, following me from place to place as I go to document that, and the entity's engaging in what is that P.O.C. while doing so, because the entity's engaging in what is sounding sirens as you're looking at that pattern in that specific environment, in conformity to a pattern by other local governments in an environment that is impossible to coexist at the same time with regard to science, where that illusion is the proof of the effort to target someone and then falsely depict their character, which is also speaking to what is not the practice of law, and it's not the practice of medicine by a legitimate government. It is the targeting system by the Nephilim. And that's what's behind criminal summoning. That's what's behind targeting by airports and police departments using helicopters. And this is the implosion of that. And they're going to be certified and convicted. That's American Medical Response gang stalking under the fake sun at 8:11 a.m. That's Ontario Fire gang stalking under the fake sun. As I go from place to place, you'll see where that fake sun is. That's at 537 North Euclid Avenue, criminal summoning. All right, last night, while the demon-possessed little gang stalker that you see on video today, this morning rather, under the fake sun, doing so under the fake moon over me at that same address, and that's where the sun rose as well. And you're also comparing the evidence of the fact that that's not the sun, because it doesn't go anywhere. I can come right back here 6 hours later and bam, there it is in alignment to me, en route, remaining in alignment to me, meaning as I go back to that address to note what is the evidence of surveillance by the government that is stalking in ridiculous manners, such as using planes and helicopters, fire departments and police departments, and demon-possessed EMTs stalking in ambulances. Okay? This is the humiliation of the Nephilim, who practice rituals before they murder people. And gang stalking is the practice of witchcraft by a society of demons. Okay? They call themselves teachers. They call themselves, as you see OVITT, they call themselves librarians. They call themselves mothers and fathers. They're not. They're gang stalking demons who are maintaining a whole illusion of what is normal, healthy, everyday society, where they're engaging in public corruption that is serving for the murder of an American citizen. The conspiracy to murder is executed by gang stalking an American citizen, which is what you're doing and what you're proven to be doing, and the purpose of that while you're under a fake sun, which you're not ignorant about. They're also not ignorant about molesting you with impossible light. They're also not ignorant about stalking, proven as a fire department from place to place in that fake sun moves, and that ongoing use of those sirens with regard to facilitation, which is also relevant to obstruction of justice under Title 18 federal stalking, based on the entity that is monitoring you, even as they have a crash out, because these demons are fearful. It is also an unlawful threat at all times to the ordinary target individual, who has a right to not be subject to a bunch of murderous, bloodthirsty psychopaths who want to steal from you, take your identity, and also take your natural life. while they're exhibiting mental illness that's a threat to American citizens, you're going to prosecute even for that. You're going to prosecute because they're bat poo crazy. You have all of the law on your side, all of it, and law that's going to come into existence to enforce your right to prosecute and target terrorists that are targeting you. And that's dealing with the imbalance behind Big Brother that thinks it's going to bully you and then blame you for the demise that they inflicted, and they think that their witchcraft is so elite that nobody sees it. Ha ha ha, I got you with no hands. That's what these demons thought that they were doing. That's the whole purpose of gang stalking. And the joke's on you, Satan. The joke is on you. It is currently 8:14 a.m. This is speaking to everything regarding the P.O.C, all the malice behind that. You're going to federal prison engaging in criminal summoning. That's exactly what it is, and nobody has to say anything. Nobody, you're talking about what is the federal government's ability to analyze the crime scene. They are at a distance, you're aware of what they're doing, what they are simultaneously accomplishing. I don't care how legitimate you think that ticket that you wrote out is. I don't care how legitimate you think that court date in that gang stalking courthouse is. You're able to assess the crime scene and what is simultaneously being accomplished and the entities that's going to be prosecuted for it. And where you have a case and you're targeting while you're engaged in some sort of malicious execution of targeting and wanting to masquerade as somebody that's engaged in the execution of an officer's duties, which is mutually exclusive. If you're engaged in what is any iteration of the P.O.C, then you're not engaged in the execution of the duties of an officer, and you will find yourself outside of the protection of any due process rights of legitimate actual police officers, and you're going to find yourself prosecuted as a terrorist in the United States. Okay? You're going to be as bare bones and nude as I am while you're monitoring my vagina. That's how you're going to be in federal court. Fully exposed. Fully exposed. It is currently 8:16 a.m. This is P.O.C. It's 8:19 a.m. when I'm starting this video. If you'll recall, Budget is here yesterday. They're engaged in what is monitoring while they have what is presence and under the guise of building the pretty little nice looking Christmas tree where demons celebrate what has nothing to do with scripture, talking about baby Jesus, and they're demons that are monitoring while they're doing so. And while they're decorating for this demonic worldly holiday, they're engaging in what is doing so under the fake sun that's here after 8:19 a.m. If you recall, the entity has the fake sun over me at 10 a.m. when I'm going into that entrance over there, the OVITT Family Community Library. If you recall, Sunday, the same day where the fake sun's over me at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, as you're analyzing a natural environment, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 8:19 in the morning, it's on the opposite side of this apartment building, not the natural environment, targeting under all circumstances from every angle. Nonetheless, because I have so much evidence, I'm showing you the systematic means of analyzing it, breaking down the system where the entity is engaged in what is going from gang stalking you on the roads and the highways, on the streets, to kidnapping you into the system in order to kidnap you permanently by defaming you, and ultimately what is the demise of American citizens. Okay, this is the entity that has the fake sun over me at the same time at the Ontario Airport Inn. That's what I captured at the laundry room where the demons are stalking me by wanting to wash your clothes next to me under the fake sun while I'm being molested inside of that laundry room with impossible light. It doesn't get any more absurd with regard to the mental illness. You know what impossible light activity is. You know when it's happening, when the fake sun is over me. And that's exactly what I captured on video at 9:19 a.m. So we're outside of daylight savings time, so that's why I'm capturing video at 8:19 a.m. If I capture video at 9:18 a.m., you know where the fake sun is going to be? Right here where I'm at. You know where it is at 4 p.m.? When I come out of this address, it's right here. 4 p.m. during daylight savings time, 3 p.m. outside of daylight savings time, it's still right there, which is under no circumstances the natural environment. This is why I use the rules that apply, these quote-unquote rules that apply with regard to showing you the illusion in the environment where targeting is clearly shown. So you're talking about elemental breakdown of what Michael GERKEN is being exposed for. That's light activity, relative positioning, and audible activity by a demon that's manifesting all over the internet, showing the focal point, which is myself, under a fake sun that is not over, as you can clearly see. You can clearly see it is not over any Ontario Airport Inn, where it was at 7:39 in the morning which is 6:39 a.m. outside of daylight savings time. It's rising in alignment to me at 537 North Euclid Avenue, but yet from video to video, from what is 7:39 a.m. in a picture over the 10 freeway through the window of the hallway of the 1801 East G Street, what is 7:54, 7:55 a.m. The fake sun remains stationary over me at that same address, meaning I didn't go anywhere. And the entity has, however, the fake sun over intersection F Street and Euclid, where Ontario Fire are engaged in what is gang stalking, criminal summoning, and the entity's engaged in what is gang stalking, moving that fake sun to remain in alignment to me. That's what it did at Ontario Airport Inn, but it did so while not leaving that address, meaning the sun is not going to be here. And you also know the other angle of analysis is the duration of time analysis. The sun is not going to be here at 2 hours from now. The sun is not some idle movement, some idle non-moving object that's still here when the OVITT Family Community Library opens and closes. Okay? And it's not over the laundry room, over the angle of that hotel building, the edge of it rather, as I stand out and show you demons are stalking me in that laundry room while I'm being targeted with impossible light. They're driving in the street and you're being targeted. That's how you know that they know who you are. The fake sun is how you know that they know who you are. The entity engaged in gang stalking like the Ontario Fire Department is how you know that they know who you are, and how you are also going to prosecute that is serially engaged in surveillance. I've documented this demon before many times. This is federal prison. That's how the government is targeting you. That's a hotel full of those demons at what is the Ontario Airport Inn under the fake sun, and it does not move. This is how you are also aware that Jason Reed is a domestic terrorist in the U.S. because the fake sun's over me in the city of Montclair at Starbucks at 440 Holt Avenue. That is not going to be over the same airport, Ontario Airport Inn, that I'm documenting on November 1st, 2025. Daylight savings time or not, I have you surrounded with evidence. Even science is proving that you're a gang stalking demon and a delusional psychopath as you are analyzing the behavior of the entity that is targeting you in this absurd environment that a fifth grader can identify. A fifth grader. It is currently 8:25 a.m. This is P.O.C. under the fake sun at 224 North Euclid Avenue, and you're going to juxtapose that. I'm going to attach the video. You'll see it on YouTube with regard to the same time, 9:19 a.m. At the Ontario Airport Inn at 1801 East G Street. And this is not that. In fact, the Ontario Airport Inn is in what would be more like it's actually along G Street, so that would be northeast. Okay, it's not even in this direction, and that's what I pointed out to on my video. But it's clearly over while I am standing in the parking lot, coming out of that laundry room of that hotel, where the entity is stalking me with impossible light, because that's how angry they are. And they engage in things that I've already proven is in existence. Nobody's mistaken me for somebody that's mentally ill while I'm litigating against the demons that are engaged in psychotic things like stalking with light. They're going to be placed in commitment. They're going to be committed. The entity is stalking me with light while the fake sun's over that hotel. That's not this, and it's not happening at the same time. And the evidence already shows that this fake sun doesn't go anywhere. Before I went to Ontario Airport Inn, that's how I have Taylor gang stalking me inside of this Ontario OVITT Family Community Library after 4 p.m., after 5 p.m., after 6 p.m., while this fake sun is in alignment to my face, just like it is now, while I'm sitting down in the depths of that building where no sunlight is either. It also is not going to reach in and shooting like a laser, and they're molesting you with light, and the engineer light, like the stalkers that they are, is reaching out, moving into the depths of that library, stalking, monitoring, stalking with light. P.O.C. That's what the fire department is doing while you're listening to them sound sirens. This is P.O.C. It is currently 8:26 a.m. License plate 8YCP395. That's a demon honking their horn as I look in the opposite direction, monitoring. And so is this demon, 8YCP395, pulling out of the parking lot of Wells Fargo and Engineer Light under the fake sun, 9EFY428, 6RTS082, 17352R2. Gang stalking by place of employment, license EH41T03. A federal case is awaiting this demon, 8U38145. But I prosecuted her on the internet first, and I'm going to prosecute in a federal court. All right, the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct, and I want to be clear. Don't forget that the fake sun is over me at the City Hall after 10 a.m. The entity has a fake sun over me as I'm here at, it's currently 8:31 a.m. Don't forget that the fake sun is over me at the Ontario City Hall at 12:51 in the afternoon. The entity has a fake sun over me right now, where this is the same property. The fake sun is remaining over me in the direction east. The sun goes from the rises in the east and sets in the west. This is the asininity, what these demons are. There's a whole world with regard to that saying, with regard to that knowledge. Rises in the east, not rises on the east side of your home, rises on the east side of your place of employment and sets on the west side of that same location. That is not the sun. Okay? And it's necessary, and science backs that up. Okay? This is the P.O.C. where it's no ambiguity at all, and there is no basis to defame the targeted individual whatsoever, and the entity that engages in that is going to be prosecuted. Period. That's the government that's defaming you, by the way. It's not even freedom of speech. You don't have any rights, Satan. You have none under this body of law that you're engaged in abusing with regard to targeting. You're not even speaking as an individual under the law while this pattern of conduct is underway. That's the state. The state's going to watch its mouth. Or the state's going to serve the penalties for that. That's federal prison, criminal defamation, federal prison. That's exactly how the government kidnaps you. A gang member says that you're crazy. This is what they rely on to kidnap you. Literally. Oh, you're going to prison for this. It's criminal defamation, however, and there is nothing that is bearing poorly on the character of a targeted individual who is documenting the pattern of conduct. That's showing that they're psychotic and they're stalking. Their behavioral health concern that threatens other people is put into controversy. It is legally irrelevant. The well-being of the target individual providing proof that they're being stalked. It's the same notion with traditional stalking. Since when do you provide evidence in a superior court to a judge about somebody traditionally stalking you, following you from place to place? You have to document that pattern of conduct. And when you get your judgment and then you get your restraining order, what part of that case includes that person that's providing evidence of being stalked by whoever it is, that they're mentally ill while you provide evidence of them stalking you? Where is that? What part of the prosecution of a traditional stalking case does that happen? It doesn't. If this was actually being imagined, if this was actually within the imagination of somebody, everybody's looking at this together. So now the government has been being embarrassed and prosecuted. You're calling everybody, including the feds, mentally ill. You're out of your mind. And everybody knows that because they're a bunch of light-slinging gargoyles. Okay, they are the only ones imagining that nobody was ever going to catch on. No one was ever going to expose it. Okay, Christ Jesus has been watching the whole time. Everything that is done in the darkness, everything is going to come to light. Everything. This is P.O.C. The entity has a fake sun over the state facilitating video of the Ontario City Hall as I'm documenting, and I'm subject to terrorism by the Ontario police stalking me in a helicopter after 2 p.m. While that Ontario City Hall is in the same path where that fake sun is over me on the College of Laverne University of Law, which is adjacent to the City Hall. This is all on the record. While I'm there in the morning yesterday at around 10 a.m., after 10 a.m., the fake sun's over my head. And that City Hall is representing the government that is engaged in criminal surveillance and furtherance of murder. Not a legitimate or protected government body. That right there is a basis for a raid. Okay, you're talking about facts and circumstances. The government knows they can look. A picture says 1,000 words. And those words are serving for what is a federal indictment. Okay, it's currently 8:35 a.m. This is P.O.C. Criminal summoning again, demons that are monitoring. Very, very foolish. It's foolish within the confines of a federal prosecution. This is speaking to what is unfortunate with regard to the demons, but very fortunate with regard to mankind and Satan being prosecuted in courtrooms throughout this country. License 8 PER 806 is engaged in criminal summoning with the fire department. That's sounding sirens. Well, the city of Ontario, that's sounding sirens to monitor me. You'll also see at this time right now, the fake sun is in position over me, while simultaneously, as a matter of just one pinpoint means of location. Remember, it's not just my video showing the fake sun. That's clearly remaining at the Ontario airport until after 5:11 p.m., where Jason Reed in Montclair can be proven to be a domestic terrorist in the U.S. But latitude and longitude, duration of time, the direction that I'm facing. All right, this is all relevant to the science that is going to be used to document, well, not just document, but for scientific purposes of proving and studying this system where the entity is aware of what the Nephilim are engaging in and how they engage in it, and how also you're fully capable of prosecuting that, which is, I stated at the outset, not impervious at all. to the law or being identified. All right, there's nothing elite about a bunch of light slinging gargoyles. They like to refer themselves as elite. They're delusional. They sling light around. What do they know about what's elite? They're not. They're not even intelligent in their attack. Okay, they're just corrupt. They kill people. They lie and set people up. And their gang conduct just requires what is a whole bunch of gang members supporting lies. That's not elite. It's a work of Satan. Satan is a treacherous thug. Okay? Contrary to what you've also been conditioned to believe, thugs are not a specific race or coming from a specific zip code. That's a character flaw that comes in all colors. All right, they're gang stalking, engaging in criminal summoning at the Ontario Town Square, and the very heavily documented offenders are sharing in that. It's all captured in images. This is P.O.C. It's 8:51 a.m.
Alrighty, mental illness exhibited by demons that are stalking, and they're doing it in front of everybody.
Assessing mental illness and the psychopathic pacing. The demons of the Ontario International Airport pacing above my head in a plane under the fake sun, and a demon on the ground pacing in the opposite direction on at the Ontario Town Square where the fake sun is over me. They're pacing around me, stalking together while demons are in position at the square. Carlos, that's sitting on the bench. This other Latino male with the bike that I've been documenting a history of criminal surveillance and kidnapping with the Ontario police, while the entity is pacing on Euclid Avenue, pacing in and out at Wells Fargo. This is all P.O.C. The demon is walking by while the demon flies over. Psychopathic conduct. Stalking together. Sharing demon possession, sharing mental illness, also mental illness that is delusional because everyone is watching them stalking. And when you are targeting in the way that the entity is, this will never be the formula for diagnosing anybody's mental illness that you don't suffer from when the entity is targeting you. They're going to be diagnosed, however. This is P.O.C. It is 8:56 a.m. where also the fake sun is over me, proving that they're targeting and that they're demons and that they're mentally ill because the entity is maintaining a fake sun over me where I'm subject to surveillance at the Ontario Airport Inn, where it remained. That's why I stepped out in the evening at 5:11 p.m. And it was not at the Ontario Town Square where I would not be able to see it. It's not over the Ontario Town Square while I'm capturing it on video, hovering over that hotel at the same time. Okay, it's not remaining outside of the hotel room window in alignment to my Ramada hotel room at 3 in the afternoon and also remaining over the Ontario Town Square in the morning. This is nonsensical conduct. They're demons and they're stalking. And they're stalking while everyone's watching them do it. And this stalking system is what the entity abuses to defame people. Oh, they're going to prison. Not only is it malicious, it's unintelligent. P.O.C. That's 8:57 a.m. This is the shutdown of the Ontario International Airport, a terrorist. Alrighty, seconds later, same P.O.C. This is the Latino male, neon yellow jacket, chocolate brown pants, gray backpack. Carlos is gang stalking at Euclid Avenue, centering their attention around a socket. The white van, this is the demon, that's prosecution of Wells Fargo. They're engaged in transactions with this venue, gang stalking. Doing so while they are engaging in psychopathic pacing. This is speaking to the mental illness that's no longer closeted, and they're doing it while the entity is going to, the Ontario police are of the same condition, gang stalking with these demons that are engaged in criminal summoning with them, doing so under a fake sun where they're monitoring and as one entity through a population of demons who are engaging in what is a targeting system that's proven through their demented behaviors. This schedule regarding, which is also outside of what's published online, is speaking to targeting. Doing so under the fake sun is speaking to targeting. Doing so at a greater frequency, like the demons of the Ontario International Airport have been documented for years doing, is speaking to targeting. And the entity is engaging in that targeting with the people of the state, with whom they engage in criminal summoning. They're going to prison, and all routes lead to federal prison. This is P.O.C. This is surveillance at the Ontario Town Square. Psychopathic pacing is what is accomplished while they're hovering over 224 North Euclid Avenue while the fake sun is hovering over me. This is where the fake sun is remaining, as I just documented on Sunday, walking out of the OVITT Family Community Library after 4 p.m. It being over my head at ARCO, which is on the opposite side of the same building, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, where the demons are engaging what is flying in alignment to where my person is, and then making a U-turn and going back in the opposite direction while they're stalking. Okay, that's again psychopathic pacing as well. Doing so with regard to maintaining evidence of the documentation that I accumulate, and then repeating it. The entity engages in this while they are engaging in what is kidnapping someone. While you're stalking and targeting, it's not the evidence of mental illness. This is the entity that's going to be diagnosed for its psychopathic patterns. P.O.C. That is again another plane. 9 a.m. This is about 90 seconds to 2 minutes. This is not the schedule of the airport, and also the schedule of the airport is speaking to what's going to be takeoffs in that sky space at those terminals. They're not creating any nuisance in the sky space of the Ontario Town Square. They're not hovering over the town square, and they're also not engaging in anything other than what is targeting, which is how the law is going to treat it with regard to the science, speaking to this not being the sun and this being the clear indicator of targeting me in particular. That's where the plane activity follows where I go. That's where the fake sun goes where I go. That's where the impossible light activity goes where I go. That's what Amazon Prime is doing at 4 p.m. on Sunday under the fake sun that's still here at that OVITT Family Community Library where Taylor is gang stalking right now. Taylor is gang stalking. She's monitoring. She listens. She's aware. She's engaged in surveillance, and she set her tail down at this Ontario Town Square. Taylor, she's a youngin' that doesn't know how to dress very well. She's going to be in prison, okay, with that pattern of conduct documented. Okay, and she's a co-worker of all the other demons at the OVITT Family Community Library, targeting with the city of Ontario, exhibiting mental illness, because this is what they're doing inside of that venue, walking around on what is not sunlight. It's not sunlight, and it's going to be addressed in what is a diagnosis for mental illness that threatens the public. Okay, they're pacing inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, just like the demons are pacing over my head in planes, over and over and over again, not headed to a destination, stalking me in particular. The operations of that whole airport are committed, designed to target me. And that's the case also with regard to the necessity of shutting down any gang stalking airport that has committed the number of kidnappings that this airport has committed. Okay, this is the entity that's engaged in that, however. And this is the evidence that's already surrounding it. They're doing so while the sun's remaining over the Ontario airport and at the same time. That's just one angle of analysis. LAPD is convicting and shutting down the Ontario airport. The Fontana Police Department, which is the city of Fontana, gang stalking, is shutting down the Ontario International Airport. The entity gang stalking, even in the city of Ontario, the evidence is there proving that the entity is targeting. But nonetheless, it is 9:02 a.m. This is what an entity does: target you with a helicopter, and then that's supposed to be some sort of evidence that you're mentally ill. This is the entity that is not very intelligent, not bright at all. They're not bright at all. They are literally going to be diagnosed and convicted with this evidence that was supposed to result in, and that's only when it's corrupt. It's only by the demons themselves. That's supposed to be the evidence of mental illness of the target individual. And by the way, even with that outright failure and failure in logic and the absence of any medical practice and practice of law in a court, it's not going to provide any explanation for what is theft of my money and property where I wasn't there. That's not making up or giving an explanation if somebody is mentally ill for the violations of the court and the gang stalking judges and everybody that is engaged in even defaming a target individual. What does that have to do with the fact that they still were denied their due process rights while they were not in the court, while they received no notice about their property, while they are kept out of the loop, while you're defaming them and you're talking about, oh, we're speaking the truth, she really is mentally ill, so therefore, where is that written in the law and in the rules of court? That makes it okay that we violated these rules and these laws. Judges are not kings. This is P.O.C. And the entity that is gang stalking is the entity that's going to be mentally assessed. And the entity that's calling themselves judges, they're gang stalkers and they're going to prison. Okay? They're going to federal prison, and the criminal activity that I'm documenting is directly relevant to the violations of the courts that are sharing and targeting by stealing property, by defaming your character, and by enabling that by a population. Okay? The gang stalkers are in no position, clearly by their documented instability, with regard to engaging in this pattern of conduct by a population of psychopaths. Oh, they're in no position to speak about anybody's character whatsoever. But this is what they've been doing, and that's going to stop. That's put to an abrupt halt. But however, the entities engage in this, and it is not an explanation, and nor is that some segue out of what is an inevitable federal prosecution. But Ontario International Airport's criminal endeavor is hereby duly noted, and it's publicly exposed, and it's going to be the inevitable shutdown as well. You have demons that are going to prison, and they're going to mental wards for stalking in planes, engaging in psychological torture and furtherance of murder. That's why they're stalking in planes, and they're stalking in science. In addition to the corrupt operation of that airport, it's going to be submitted in court. They're going to prison. This is P.O.C. It is 9:04 a.m. Securitas is gang stalking. Right? This is the one that's engaged in kidnapping, criminal summoning, while you're both engaging in that pattern of conduct. This is the entity that's doing so under all the facts that I just mentioned. They're going to prison. And this is the ability to document that. The demon that's pacing all around having a field day, the more that I document Satan, the more that that demonic pattern of conduct, that demonic character shows itself. Okay, look at the evidence of the gang stalking security guard at Cirrus Regis Group. That demon went from pretty much true to character by acting out because he's embarrassed to outright stalking. Follows from the town square to the parking lot, where the entity is stalking on the opposite side of this venue, stalking from place to place, literally, just to sit there in silence and be in my presence and aim light, stalking with light. That's the demons. That's the demonic pattern of conduct. Satan shows his true character, which is mentally ill. That's how you're going to diagnose and treat the mentally ill who are demon possessed. It comes out in their behavior. That behavior is analyzed with regard to their mental illness, proven through facts and circumstances and what you are doing, not while you're lying and making it up. The corrupt entity is being taught how the medical field actually works and how the legal profession, how the practice of law is actually executed for the benefit of society, not regarding what is a matter of public corruption. Okay, this is P.O.C. And the entities engaging in this pattern of conduct while they are all together exposing their mental illness. And this is applying to every iteration of that pattern of conduct. These are the demons that are going to prison with the gang stalking police. These are the demons that are engaging in criminally summoning them. These are the demons that are engaging in what is making malicious assertions. These are the demons that are engaging in both surveillance and psychological torture, where they're supposed to be able to defame you, and they are imbalanced, delusional psychopaths. These are the demons that are stalking in the bathroom with that same government. That's the same conduct when they walk in and out of the bathroom, when they're in the adjacent bathroom stall. These are the demons that are hurling out insults while they're embarrassed by the evidence, the probative evidence that you're monitoring in the engineered environment. That's the same demonic duo. Okay? P.O.C. It is currently 9:06 a.m. I just want to be clear. Ronald Leverage, Kurt Hagman, Jim Bowman, Julia Gu, Alan D. Wapner, the Ontario executive team, the so-called CEO, Atif El-Kadi, sharing in that pattern of conduct, and everybody else on that Ontario executive team. This is their federal prosecution. Terrorists are being prosecuted, and I provided the evidence that makes you criminally liable as a corrupt entity in court. You are not in any position. You're not on any high tower. You're not exempt. You are surrounded with evidence that is going to prosecute you in particular. Yes. It's not some far-off, ambiguous absence of the ability and the evidence. No, it's prosecuting you who have been engaging in surveillance, and you've listened to me utter. There is evidence to prosecute every single last one of you and all together as a corrupt entity. Okay? And that's what's happening. So you exhibit your own mental illness, and you do that to your own demise. Nothing that you're doing, by the way, is affecting me with regard to what is already a foregone conclusion. You are exhibiting what has been the case from the beginning. That you are a threat to American society. You're an enemy of this country. While you are under all circumstances stalking. There is no debate here. There is no back and forth. There is no iteration that makes it realistic or less stalking. Or it looks like this. Oh, you didn't get it from this angle and you don't know that. It's a foregone conclusion. This has been a publicized litigation in the court of public opinion, if you will, because I'm going to prosecute you on the worldwide internet, and I'm going to prosecute you in court. This is P.O.C. It's 9:08 a.m. With impossible light while demons are pacing on and off. HCEV 691. 9:20 a.m. The entity's gang stalking, and that license plate is engaging in a sex offense and terrorism, with also Adams Carpet Care walking out of the back entrance of Wells Fargo, gang stalking, sharing in sexual assault and battery with the demons that are stalking in planes every 2 minutes. This is all evidence that's inherent to the P.O.C. 70226Y2, 9CFW 642, 6MFH 796, 7PWB 790. That psychopath that's pacing with the chocolate pants and the neon jacket is pacing as demons are all around monitoring to that. Remember, they're monitoring on devices. They're monitoring while the demons are maintaining plane activity pacing around me. It's centered on me. The fake sun remains over me as I go to the Wells Fargo venue. They're all stalking. 4WFW 915. 7UKV 422. Everything I just recited. Everything I just legally analyzed. It's applying to all these demons together, including Wells Fargo. P.O.C. It's currently 9:21 a.m. That sexual assault and battery while demons are touching you while they're stalking. The impossible light activity is about monitoring. And you're going to be prosecuted as a stalker that you are while the government is monitoring. It is currently 9:21 a.m.
right, City of Ontario's gang stalking through what is presence in the path right in front of the computer stations. This is mental illness while they're still engaging in the pattern of stalking with light activity, using what is light activity while the demons focus their attention on some sort of activity where they're engaging in the same conduct. You have a demon that's pasting on the communication device. I got that demon. And you have the two demons that are using the ladder. They're doing so in the computer area where the demons are anticipating that I'm going to be present and I'm going to finish uploading all the evidence that the demons want to be as close to while they're monitoring with the demons who are the people of the state. So they're coming in engaged in the same pattern of conduct that the people of the state engage in. The entity does so with regard to some sort of activity, some sort of service, some sort of business that they're under the guise of the same criminal pattern of conduct, but they're doing so in a manner that the people of the state are supposed to be distinct. And it's all gang stalking, but they're engaging in what is a purpose for their presence. It's the same thing with a demon that's coming and checking out a book. That's some sort of alleged purpose. It's all under the fake sun. And the demon is in the ceiling with regard to light activity, a little demon with a flashlight, okay? These are demons that are in the engineer light fixing the ceiling, in the engineer light with a communication device, in the engineer light pacing under the fake sun. This is Title 18 federal stalking. This is the same OVITT Family Community Library, same employees, same gang stalkers that are engaging in the sex offense of monitoring. While the entity is stalking with planes and helicopters, this is what they're doing. That noise that you heard is while I started navigating on my screen. That's a demon that's monitoring. Okay, this is P.O.C. It is currently 10:15 a.m. You'll see those images uploaded to the Google Drive. This is that which is underway in concert with the people of the state who ask questions, walk in and out of the venue, walk around on the floors, engage in activity, conversation pursuant to monitoring. All right, it's P.O.C. It's 10:15 a.m. at the OVITT Family Community Library. I captured the fake sun. It's remaining over at 10:10 in the morning over me in the courtyard at the Ontario Airport Inn. This is speaking to what is pacing by a demon that's wearing a maroon uniform shirt, monitoring, and on a ladder, monitoring, sitting around inside of the venue, reading books. That's the activity that they're focused on while they're monitoring. This is P.O.C. It is 10:15 a.m. All right, upon my exit of the venue OVITT Family Community Library at 215 East C Street, where the venue is, first of all, it's a state facilitating venue, meaning this is a City of Ontario establishment, as opposed to asserting that it's a private party or private property, rather. That's essentially irrelevant. It is informing with regard to the operation of this surveillance system, whether it is a third party facilitating venue, it is facilitating the pattern of conduct as a third party, or it is facilitating the pattern of conduct as a state actor acting directly. This is a state facilitating venue, and upon my exit at 8:02 p.m., the entity is engaging in sexual assault and battery. This is tracking my steps. This is also identified where the fake sun is over the same entrance, and it moves as I move. At nightfall, a demon is committing sexual assault and battery as an entity, crossing path and molesting my person with engineer light. The entity engages in this ambush conduct, sexual violence in concert and on behalf of the state, with the people of the state that are gang stalking together. The entity will do this with the entity that engaged in, for example, on November, I believe that was the 3rd, where the entity, upon my exit, criminal summoning, the entity stalking with light, sounding sirens, the entity driving in close proximity, molesting my person, driving at a distance with the loud sirens. This is how the entity is maintaining the elements of monitoring. You're always being molested, though. You could see the multiple shadows on the ground. You are being touched by light that is not naturally occurring, and it's going to be prosecuted with regard to criminal surveillance. You have to touch me with that which is not even naturally occurring, and it's going to be prosecuted like any other sex offense, while a population of psychopaths are doing things like following you into bathrooms, and that will be a prosecution of an absurdly sexually violent crime. Okay, this is again at 8:02 p.m. upon my exit. The people of the state molesting, and that's pursuant to ongoing tracking of my steps. Hi, am I talking loud?
No. Do you still want your schedule?
Oh yeah. All right, that is a question I had to answer by a third party. So license 8 Barry Thomas Jerry 572 is the third party. Remember, when the entity is, when you are being molested, rather, the purpose of the whole engineered environment, the purpose of stalking you with noise, stalking you with light, the purpose of maintaining what is presence, which is shown to be obsession shared by a population. You don't just have one stalker, you have an entity that is stalking you. That entity is also, you don't have just one person that's mentally ill that's stalking you, you have an entity that's mentally ill that's stalking you. And then that entity that is stalking you, that is mentally ill, makes up the government.
That government that is convinced that it will get away with even defaming your character while it is mentally ill and is stalking you. Okay, the entities committing these ongoing aspects of the pattern of conduct, meaning stalking with light, stalking with noise, they're doing it for a purpose, and they're doing it as everyone else is sharing in that. Meaning, I'm creating light activity because my co-defendant on the opposite side of the street, in the same building, behind you, in front of you, around you, in the adjacent city. I mean, this is outside of Ontario. This is ongoing monitoring. They maintain the elements of light activity and audible activity pursuant to everyone else that's monitoring you as well. That's why it's not only a criminal prosecution for federal group stalking and monitoring, it's facilitation of federal group stalking and monitoring. And also the contribution to the delinquency of minors who are also facilitating gang stalking and are engaging in gang stalking. Okay, so the entities engaging in this and the third parties are acting together pursuant to a sex offense. All right, license 8BTJ572, license 9 Edward Zebra Kelly 933. A serial stalker documented before targeting with the Ontario police, openly exposing their mental illness, stalking with light in the parking lot. And what happens seconds later as they do so? They corner me, if you will, surrounding you with that terrorizing behavior, stalking and aiming light in the parking lot at the OVITT Family Community Library upon my exit after they're stalking me in the bathroom. And I'm greeted with helicopter activity at my exit of the entrance. In the parking lot of that same venue, the entity flies over the top of my head, stalking with a helicopter. This is 9 Edward Zebra Kelly 933, exhibiting, which is a matter of documentation, which is relevant to things like commitments. It's relevant to things like sentencing. It's relevant to things such as the identification, the legal analysis regarding the impunity with which an entity is stalking you. You are outside of the doors of that court acting with impunity. Oh, you have no regard for the law. You don't care about another person's rights and their ability to enforce their rights and to be free from further harm from you, free from harm from you altogether. That's going to be remembered in the federal court. It's not going to be forgotten. These short-sighted demons who are more obsessed than they are sane, okay, and cognizant about what's happening to them while they're stalking, they are the ones that are going to forget that. But it is the duty, which is why I'm maintaining an ongoing public investigation, maintaining diligently a record that is detailed and organized with regard to evidence that will be submitted in court to prosecute an entity that has committed murder in the past and gotten away with it, has committed kidnapping in the past and got away with it, has committed what is framing for criminal activity that the target individual who was nameless, because we don't know who these people are, but I'm not the first person that this entity has targeted. I'm the last one that they will ever target, and it be maintained as a secret, because this is exposing the existence, the fact of criminal surveillance, number one, but gang stalking and targeting system, which is always and only for the purpose of murder. License 9E Zebra Kelly 933 isn't just gang stalking and stalking with light and being a psycho with the Ontario police just because they're crazy. They are, but they're crazy with an objective, right? And this is what I'm stating. They're crazy, as I'm speaking in the vernacular. You're being so mentally ill, so mentally disturbed, you have lost sight of what it was your objective, which I have made impossible. The Lord God has made impossible. It's not going to happen. And you're still acting in furtherance of your own demise, and you're doing it in front of the whole world at that. Okay? So you are witnessing the ongoing, tangible, physical evidence of mental illness while a population is practicing what is monitoring, which is surveillance committed by a government and its demonic activity as well. This is license 9 Edward Zebra Kelly 933. That sharing in that sex offense while a third party, that is the entity, is tracking my steps. This is how you know what they are, demons that are of the administration inside of OVITT Family Community Library. They're admittedly engaging in sexual violence. The entity walks into the bathroom, monitoring, stalking. That's also why there's impossible light activity in there. Okay? They're monitoring, and you're monitoring genitalia. You are absurdly crazy, and you're a pervert. Okay? They're engaging in this pattern of conduct as one. And the entity that's tracking my steps and molests me, this is routinely documented as I exit the venue. The entity is doing so with the group. Okay? So that's the significance of the license plates that are gang stalking. That demon that's molesting me with light isn't acting by himself. And everyone is acting on behalf of the state. License 9 Henry Victor Sam 993, 6 Apple Robert David 312, 8 Victor Queen Victor 717, 9 Nancy 0 Frank 859, 7 Henry Paul Frank 865, 5 Wendy Thomas Nancy 619 as the demons maintain presence all around the block while they are stalking as an entity as I exit the library and walk back toward 537 North Euclid Avenue. These demons are illegally parked. These demons are sitting in the dark in the parking lot. These demons are aiming light. These demons are engaging in what is sexual assault and battery on the run, crossing path, molesting, and then speeding off. This is the entity that is gang stalking. Okay, license 8RIG 218. 7 Henry Wendy Xavier 195. This is ARCO that's gang stalking. All right, ARCO is property filled with third parties engaging in what is also relevant. You're going to prosecute for what is the federal RICO case because ARCO is both gang stalking and incorporating gang stalking into their business. It's criminal activity, okay? And it's on behalf of the state. It enables the state to engage in the P.O.C., which the employees share in as well. And that employee license, again, 7 Henry Wendy Xavier 195. License, gang stalking with ARCO 8CBY 352, molesting as an entity and doing so, and so is ARCO. License 8 Wendy Zebra Bob 557. Engaging in what is sexual assault and battery in concert with Chevron, stalking and doing so on behalf of an entity. License plate 82226 Charlie 4. And German is inside of Chevron, sharing in that sex offense as a third party to be prosecuted, possibly deported, for acting in furtherance of my murder, gang stalking with the state. And also, Chevron is going to be prosecuted for that sex offense that I'm subject to while Chevron is making money and gang stalking me at the same time. That's a federal RICO case. Chevron is also gang stalking and sharing in that sex offense while I'm being molested and offended and gang stalked at ARCO. They're both in relevant position on behalf of the state. License 6 NYD 346 is German at the Chevron at 506 North Euclid Avenue. License plate 8 Sam Queen Victor 986. Okay, engaging in what is sexual assault and battery, molesting at F Street and Euclid while I'm at 536 North Euclid Avenue. That's the Bethel Congregation Church. This is a sex offender stalking en route while engaging in the pattern of conduct. This is license 9 Mary Jerry Mary 208, and this is a sex offense committed in furtherance of murder. This is gang stalking. Gang stalking is inclusive of the perpetual sex offense with regard to engineer light, and this third party is committing that sex offense as an entity in concert with third party 28609 Henry 3 and 37706 Robert 2, 7 Victor Henry Victor 139, where they are gang stalking in the path at 537 North Euclid Avenue. They are doing so as a gang of demons on the opposite side of the same street as I'm walking at the crosswalk. This is, again, tracking your steps conduct. This is it's not only depraved, it's not only sexually motivated, it is demented, and it's demonic, and it's criminal. This is relevant to monitoring you. Monitoring is relevant to surveillance by the government, and it's also relevant to terrorism because it's demonic and the government's practicing this with the population. It's an unlawful and a non-consented to touching pursuant to criminal activity. This is the entity that's engaging what is stalking you in doing so. Stalking is committed by driving north and south on Euclid Avenue, driving east and west on F Street, molesting my person intentionally and doing so. This is a stalker that's driving on Euclid Avenue and intentionally makes the turn at the moment that I'm at that intersection to commit that unlawful touching, which is the conduct of a sex offender. That is lying in wait behavior to commit a sex offense, very demented behavior, which a population shares. This is what they're all doing under a fake sun. They're all pacing all around stalking while you're subject to what is a perpetual sex offense. And this is what the entity shares in while they also engage in what is the ritual act of murder. Okay, this is all relevant to the gang violence and that the domestic terrorist leader, both Mike Lorenz and Derek Williams in this prosecution, enforcing my rights against the government. Derek Williams, the terrorist leader over the Ontario Police Department, and preceded by what is Mike LORENZ, currently in the role of a terrorist leader, not a police chief, where that pattern of conduct is underway by the gang stalkers of the Ontario Police. They're engaged in the exact same pattern of conduct. These demons have the audacity to be wearing police uniforms while they're gang stalking in furtherance of murder. Stalking, psychopath, obsessed, sex offenders. Gang stalking. All right, this is gang violence in the prosecution of domestic enemies. This is in the prosecution of domestic enemies. This is exposing what is gang violence by the mentally ill population of demons who are encouraged, who are facilitating, and who share who share in the pattern of conduct that is underway by the domestic terrorists of the Ontario Police Department, who are the cause of public corruption and lawlessness that is threatening American citizens like myself, being the first to ever not only prove it but prosecute it and inform and advise as to how you prosecute on a larger scale and disincentivize this public corruption that is exposed. The reason for what is speaking of it in terms of it being the cause, because these are demons. This is the work of Satan, who was the actual cause, okay? But you need to understand that these are people that don't have a defense in court with regard to the fact that they're demon-possessed. It is legally relevant, however, the fact that you're mentally ill, utilizing these tactics to keep me under surveillance and furtherance of murdering me. The entities engaging in this, and because of the role of what should be law enforcement, they are sharing in that criminal pattern of conduct with the public. You are not only sharing in that criminal activity, which is also terrorism to an American citizen. Who are you going to report it to when the police are the criminal? Who? When the police are not only the criminal, they inflict more harms and target you increasingly as you enforce your rights. That is documented, and they're keeping that documentation under surveillance and then targeting you more so. This is proven through the pattern of conduct, the evidence of it. This is going to prosecute domestic terrorists like Mike LORENZ and every kidnapper of that agency. It is that agency's pattern of conduct, and it is your fault when you are the one that's supposed to be acting in the exact opposite manner in order to be one that is competent and sane and maintaining law and order, not sharing in what is chaos and terrorism and criminal monitoring, surveillance, criminal activity. That's why it's law enforcement's fault. That's why it's their fault with regard to prosecuting people who hold positions that they're abusing, and it is antithetical to what they are supposed to be doing and the role that they're supposed to serve. While you share in that pattern of conduct with the people of the state, you are leading in what is the terrorism that is underway that you're going to be prosecuted for. Okay? This is the documentation upon my exit of the OVITT Family Community Library on, again, what is November 4th, 2024.